Okay, hello everybody, and thank you for dropping into this edition of Walking the Ropes. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Blake. We have an awesome show for you today. We'll be covering the news from the last few days, and as well, we'll be recapping and giving our opinions on the Royal Rumble from last night.
Yes, but before that, if you'd like to support us, you can check out our Buy Me a Coffee and Redbubble pages, which can be found through our link tree, as well as following all of our social medias to stay up to date with everything going on with Walking the Ropes. Um, but with that being said, wow, what a show! What a freaking
Yeah.
show we're coming off of. This is our first pay-per-view review.
Besides
Um,
the Impact
Besides,
ones we've had.
well, we did on podcast 0, we did Genesis, and we also did a Hard
Yeah.
to Kill, but specifically doing the multi times a week and whatnot, very first
Yeah.
one, fun little segment that will come up after we go through the show.
Yeah.
Um but yeah. um I mean, obviously we'll get into the Rumble, but for something I wasn't sure as to like how it would go and what we would get, weird times, no live crowd, stuff like that. You kind of wonder what you're going to get from something like the Rumble that
For sure.
almost feeds off of the crowd, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. I like we've both got gripes with the card here and there, but other than that, it was a solid card right up and down the line.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, without further ado, I know we both got a few notes and news points here.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. You wanna hit it up? I highly doubt we have much of anything the same.
I doubt
So
it, but my first one is the Parker Bordeaux, however you say it, the Brock lookalike, the
yeah,
football player.
if you
He
haven't seen him, look him up. Like, it
Yeah.
literally, it's hard to tell if you were to put them side by side.
Yeah, and I can only imagine with age how much more he's going to
Oh,
turn into
jeez.
Brock. But he confirms, I can't remember with what source, but that he will be joining a professional wrestling company. As well, this was further confirmed when UCF, his former team, revealed their roster, and Parker's name was absent from the roster.
Hmm.
So all signs lead to him likely signing and joining NXT.
I mean, we don't know how he's gonna do or anything like that, so I shouldn't have my issues. But the number one reason, and if you deny it, you're just blind or dumb. It's because of the look of him.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
And they're going
what
to pair him with Brock in some way immediately if they can.
freaking WrestleMania
Like,
3 years down the line, we're gonna get them against each other in the main event, and I'm gonna be going, which one's which?
exactly. And I mean, besides their tattoos, and I think Parker has more hair, that's about it.
But like, he literally, I said it to you in a message the other day, and I stand by it. If it is WWE that he goes with, it does not matter if he is the shittiest person in the ring, if he's got no mic skills, anything like that. Vince sees him, and there is a rocket on his back,
Yeah.
just because of the look of the guy.
Yeah, no, and that's just it. Like, for similar aspects, you can think of people like Mason Ryan,
Oh my
where
god.
they just appeared, did something, and then all of a sudden we're gone. And because of this guy and kid is throwing away a football career to join the wrestling industry, I hope he doesn't just get squandered because from what I've heard, he is a highly touted NFL prospect. He could very well make it to the NFL and play there easily.
Oh, let him give pro wrestling a shot for a year or two, I guess, and
Yeah.
there's a good chance he's right back, or he's gonna be a world champion down the line. Uh,
No, exactly. And I hope, because I want wrestling to succeed and I do like big guys in wrestling, I hope he becomes a good big guy wrestler
oh,
and
I don't.
WWE doesn't do what we think they're going to do with him.
Yeah, like I don't wish him a bad career. I don't wish him to be
No.
shitty in the ring. Like I've got no issues with big guys in pro wrestling. I mean, one of my favorite wrestlers right now, which I'm really pissed off that he was absent last night, is Keith Lee.
Oh, right.
Like
Jesus.
you want to talk about somebody that I'm like slap a rocket on him. Like
Yeah.
please by all means. So like I have no issue with that and like I hope he does fantastic. I am just worried he's going to get the Brock Lesnar treatment due to the very evidentness of it.
Right.
Like you can't
And
not look at it and go Vince is going to like him.
no, exactly. And that's probably like he's probably already signed a contract with WWE, and that's why all these things are kind of coming out now about him confirming he's joining a wrestling promotion, but he's not confirmed which one, and now his teams dropped him from their roster, which I think is a college team, which would likely indicate he's not at the college anymore either, but that could be false by me just not knowing how that works either.
Yeah, see, I have no clue how any of that works.
So
Yeah.
but good luck to Parker, and I
Hey,
hope that he
best
has a
of
good
luck.
career.
And
I
and I
don't know how
mean
to say your last name, so I'm just saying your first name.
and I mean if it happens to be a uh uh off to AEW type thing, if AEW picks him up, I mean fine. Fine, but the thing is they still have the potential if they pick him up to do the same thing Vince would do. Like that's the
Yep,
thing to
for
remember.
sure.
I'm not shitting on him because it's the possibility of going to WWE. AEW could do the
Impact could do it.
exact same thing. Impact could do it. They could
I
do
mean,
the
they did
exact
it.
same thing.
I can think of people they did it with. Rob Terry, for instance, he came in and he couldn't
Uh,
really go in the ring, but he was
I
given
wasn't a
their,
Rob Terry fan.
what was it, their Legends title and their the television Legends, whatever that
I
title,
think
the
it
one that
became
looked
like
really
King of the
nice.
Mountain at one point, and
Yeah, I really liked that belt. I
oh, it
wouldn't
was
have
a
minded it being
beautiful
the world
belt.
title. Like, yeah. So
Yeah, because
TNA had good belts.
it came in as the Legends title because I believe it was Booker T who
I
brought
think
it in, and
so.
he like crowned himself the first champ.
Yeah,
Back when
and
he was trying to do that really shitty accent, if you remember that, that was the
I
worst.
vaguely do, yeah.
Oh,
But it was, yeah, like that. Just not to go on and on about that belt. TNA had really good belts back in the day, and yeah. So,
yeah. What else you got? What else you got for news?
um,
Much of anything?
Cesaro's contract is set to expire shortly after this year's WrestleMania.
Well, it explains the push.
Oh, it does, and
I
we talked
said it on
about
the
that.
previous podcast. It explains the
Yeah,
push.
exactly. We were talking it. We weren't sure when it ended, and there wasn't a
Uh,
confirmed date. It just said sometime after WrestleMania.
yeah, well, that we were talking about him and Nakamura, so because
Mhm.
they're both getting kind of prominent spots, but
And I
yeah.
think Nakamura has entirely relocated to the States, so he will likely stay with WWE, if not maybe go to AEW, because he might have friends with the Elite there with
Well, the
his
thing
time
is,
in.
with New Japan starting up the American
Oh, true.
product, I would not doubt one bit him hopping back over.
But be staying in America and
Staying
then
in the
giving.
States for now. Once shit's
Yeah.
cleared up, he's headlining the Tokyo Dome. Like
Yeah, and I absolutely wouldn't mind seeing him go back to. I
no.
don't know what his gimmick was in Japan, but
It
I
was the
know.
same thing. It was just Shinsuke Nakamura. He was him.
Okay, he was just exactly what he is now. Well, not now, but what he came to NXT as.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
like
yeah.
he's one of those guys where his gimmick is just kind of him.
Well, and you
Him
can.
turned up. You turn the dial up, right?
Well, yeah, and you see that in his lifestyle that he kind of posts about a little bit, where he's surfing and he enjoys the. I think he lives in Florida, so he
More than
loves
likely.
the aspects of Florida. And I mean, you can't blame him. It's a
Oh,
really easy city to love. Besides, obviously, the crimes and whatever that do happen, it's a
well,
gorgeous city
take
to live
away
in.
all the crap. Most of Florida, most of the places, unless you're inland, most of Florida, you're minutes away from a beach.
Yeah.
It's 99% of the time it's warm. The
He's
only
likely
time of the
walking around in
year
shorts.
the only time of the year you kind of get tired of is hurricane season.
Yeah, and I mean, even still, you might not get an actual hurricane, just some bad rain, like,
Yeah, yeah,
depending on where you are on the coast,
exactly. Just watch the news.
but
Just watch the news.
exactly. But yeah,
um,
it explains why Cesaro has been getting the push he's been getting.
that's fair.
So,
Um, what else? You got much
I
else?
got a funny one. Cena's gonna miss this year's Mania, definitely, because he has filming commitments.
Yeah, that's on mine.
Is it? Okay.
He's filming in Canada apparently. Is where
Oh,
he's filming. Is what I read this morning. I don't remember what it said he was filming.
okay,
Um,
I have one that I know he's filming is Peacemaker,
that's
the
what it
character
was.
he's playing
That's
in
what it was. Thank
Suicide
you.
Squad.
Yep. Yep.
So that must mean he played the character very well, and because I think the director, James Gunn, is directing the show as well.
Is he?
From what I've heard, I could be wrong on that, but I know that they were in talks about it. From what I read, and just from what I've seen, Cena has done a good job as I think it's called Peacemaker, and in Suicide Squad, and I look forward to seeing that. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so he's this side of the border. Now granted, the point I would like to make, okay, is we are still over 2 months
for sure.
from Mania.
Hmm.
um so I can understand
But
though,
it's
like,
not just that he's filming. There was also another movie, and I can't remember what the movie was.
yeah. I I'll be honest, I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit.
But
I'm
I can't see
sure.
what he would be doing because the one thing I think we can say about Cena is he doesn't try to take the prominent spot when he
Oh
comes back.
no.
He'll show up in the card wherever they'll put him. Like,
Yeah, and it just so happens a lot of the time it is. I mean, because he's John Cena. You can't put John Cena, you know, in a low tier match. No matter your
no,
opinion of him, it'd be like the Undertaker coming back, and people have been pissed off for years of Taker getting that, co-main event or main event spot. I'm sorry, it's the Undertaker. You don't have the Undertaker open the damn show.
he is your headliner whether he's headlining or not. Like, obviously the headliners the last few years, like, were Becky and Ronda and Charlotte, and I can't remember the main event of last year's
Well, last
specifically.
year's night one was the Boneyard.
Was the Boneyard. Right,
And
it was
night
the 2-year
two
night.
was McIntyre and Lesnar.
Right. So, like, you have your main events, but if that was a single night event, Taker would have gone before the McIntyre Lesnar
Oh,
match for
more than
sure.
likely, yeah. Oh yeah.
So, even though it
Um,
was a good match, like,
but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him there in some kind of capacity. I will be shocked if he's not there
I just
in
hope it's
some
not the
way, shape, or
exact same
form.
thing he did the last one when he fought Taker, where
Where
he was
where
in the crowd.
it was cool for that night, for that story,
Yeah.
but we can't do it again for a
Exactly,
while.
that's what I mean. Like, if
Um,
he were to ever come back and do it again, it'd be funny, but it'd have to be, like, against a Triple H or something, and he'd have to be, like, heckling the whole
yeah.
time.
But I mean, we could even get, which I mean, once again, it's another one of those scenarios where it's like we don't want to see it again because it's gonna get stale. But similar to what he did at 35 with Elias coming out, Doctor Thugonomics, stuff like
I
that.
love that version of Cena,
Um,
and I wouldn't mind him sticking with it when he comes back, 'cause, that would make sense with him fighting The Fiend,
well, it's not
so
a matter of not liking the gimmick and not wanting him to stick with it. I mean, I don't want to just see him Mania after Mania, kind of coming out heckling somebody, because that's basically what happens with that gimmick, and then just kind of disappearing. Like,
for sure.
if he goes back to that gimmick, that's fine, because that's one of my favorite Cena gimmicks as well. But
Yeah,
in the idea, like I said, of him just kind of showing up, doing his thing, and hopping out, I just, if we get a little variety with it, is what
for sure, I
would
wanna
be
see him in a
nice.
match capacity for sure.
But but yeah. Um Is that all you
Yeah,
got?
I only had 3 points.
So, I got a few different things here. One quick one. Mia Yim, also known as Reckoning of Retribution right now, tested positive for COVID this past week.
Oh,
So wishing her all the best. Why she wasn't in the Rumble, obviously, and stuff like that.
makes sense.
What else do I got here? The Bushwhackers are back together for the first time in 20 years.
Okay.
They are available for bookings and that. Obviously not in a wrestling capacity, I would hope.
I mean,
But
they'll probably take a bump, but not. I don't think they'll
the
book for a match.
one
Like,
maybe, but if you remember the Hall of Fame, I don't remember which one it was. The one was in really rough shape.
right, but I'm
So
imagining it being like they come out and some young guns just like, you can't be coming out to my show, punch the good one, and then the older one that isn't in great shape, just bonk them with something, and then
yeah,
that'd be
some kind of weird bushwhacker thing. But
yeah.
that was a neat little thing. A few notes here that I got from Being the Elite today, which if you have not seen it yet, as it came out as of this recording, not even an hour and a half ago. Spoiler alert as for BTE today. One thing that I found interesting. It seems that the Bucks Good Brother against Dark Order match was not actually live on Dynamite. They showed
Okay.
stuff from the show, and they were joking at the start, talking about it's the most edited match in Dynamite history. And they were showing things on BTE that, now that I think about it, I didn't quite catch because maybe they weren't there on Dynamite, but they start showing more of the match on BTE, and I would assume Cutler filming pans up during one point, and there is no fans. There is no fans at Daly's place, which we know there are fans at Dynamite.
So how did they do that? Because I'm positive they panned to the crowd. Well, like, because they have cameras that point from the corner at the entrance ramp towards the crowd.
Well, from what I could see, there was no crowd for that match.
I'm gonna watch it after this because I have yet
Um,
to watch it, so I am gonna look for that specifically.
so yeah, give a look and let me know, or if anybody, tweeted us at Walking the Ropes, or even my personal handle, Caleb_Rabideau, which is on our border here on the
Yeah.
video cast. Maybe there was, but the thing is, between them going like this is the most edited match in Dynamite history, which could have just been them, shooting the shit and whatnot. Um, but and those cuts, I was like, maybe it just wasn't live on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Which I mean, the thing is in theory, I guess wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they filmed whatever with the Good Brothers, and then after dark that night or something, they shot that match so that way the Good Brothers didn't have to fly back to Jacksonville, or who knows? I don't think they did a set of tapings. I think we're still getting live every
Hmm.
week, but it
Well,
wouldn't surprise me.
now that I think about it, I feel like when I watched Dynamite, in that match, there was a weird cut where, like, one of the wrestlers was somewhere, and then all of a sudden it just jumped and they were somewhere else, and I was like,
Yeah, I might go back and watch that match again.
yeah,
But
but
that
I can't
was
remember now, like, if
that
that
was
was
just a
that.
really interesting note that I got from it. And as well, something that I'm not sure if you remember, but watching it, I thought of it. We were talking on the Thursday cast, recapping Dynamite. You had made a comment about during that main event match that there was some kind of a magic killer with the Bucks move combination. So it wasn't actually the magic killer. Gallows picked I want to say it was Uno up for like a backdrop. Carl Anderson hit the neck breaker, and the Bucks did an elevated assist drop kick into it. They
Right.
show it on
Yeah.
BTE, and I saw it and I went, that's the move that happened. Because we
Well,
had
I was just
discussed it on Thursday, and I was like, I don't think it was the Magic Killer, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
yeah, but it was one of those like double team moves that even if it was just Carl and Doc doing it, it was like a brutal move.
Yeah. But anyways, and one more note quickly from BTE for any of those, like I said, who watched. This is a major spoiler alert. We have a new Being the Elite champion as of this week. John Silver was dethroned by Sammy Guevara.
I am
Um and
heartbroken.
Sammy Guevara told them that if you want the title back, that they can come to his vlog and do so. um so
Oh
that's
no.
a fun note. And then
What
two
was the
last
competition this week? Sorry.
field goals, kicking field goals. They
Oh,
were
I
in the
knew it.
Jags
I
training
knew it.
stadium or
When they
training
said it was going to be
facility.
field goals, I was like, "Oh man, Guevara's going to win." No.
So it was actually really funny. They tied up and Guevara got the tiebreaker of it. It was funny.
Oh.
And he started running around going, I'm cutting it in half. And Nick Jackson was there, and he's like, Sammy, please don't cut it in half. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Well, that belt I think was made by JB Toys or Belts or something like that on Instagram because I follow them and he also made the gagged one for
Oh
Guevara.
my gosh. Okay. I can remember that segment. Yeah. And I got two more quick ones here. The last one is a really interesting note. This one here though. So it's a tweet actually. I got it pulled up on my phone. It is from former I believe he was head writer actually of Raw years ago. Brian, and I might butcher this, Jawertz. Um he put out a tweet during the Rumble last night, and I read it this morning, and I put it in the notes here because he makes a very fair point that I never contemplated, and after watching the Rumbles last night, obviously I wouldn't have wanted it to happen in the main event, which we'll get to shortly. Um, but watching it, I was like, actually, it's a very fair point. So the tweet, as Michael Cole would say, and I quote, it's 2021. During the Royal Rumble, refs should do a 10 count for those thrown under/through the ropes or deliberately hiding. Yeah, it's too much to follow, but it'll force everyone to scrap the overused "we forgot about blank" finish. Now back to eating prunes. And I I definitely, because I was watching some old Rumbles back over the past few days, and I can't believe how often we've actually had that in the past. I say the number, and it's like, in theory it is a long time, but give it the past 10 years.
Yeah.
We've had that a lot.
Well, one that comes to my mind is Del Rio's win.
Del Rio, Reigns, Rusev.
Yeah.
We've had this.
I think Sheamus's most recent win, because hasn't he won two or has he only won one?
I
He's
think
only won
Sheamus has
one.
only won one. I think it's only been
Uh,
one.
but he won via that exact same thing.
Like,
Like,
it's very overdone, and like the thing is, like, I enjoyed in the women's Rumble because it went with it, which, like I said, we'll get to it, but just to be on the note here, Billy Kay. Billy Kay's bit in it because it fit
it was
what was
good.
happening. It fit what was happening. But and granted, for her, it's different because she never entered the ring. I agree in the sense of when they both get in the ring, if you're then thrown out, sure.
Right,
Um,
because that's fair. If they enter the ring, come back, sure, do a count out. But if they don't enter the ring, they technically have not entered the
yeah,
Rumble yet.
yeah.
So
But yeah, so like obviously I wouldn't have wanted it to happen in the men's Rumble because of the
for sure.
outcome and whatnot, because it worked really well.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, it did.
but for future reference, it's definitely a good point.
I think the reason WWE doesn't do it is because they specify, it's no DQ. There are no rules besides you can only be eliminated by going over the top rope. And I
Yeah.
mean, even specifically in the men's rumble, there are points where they get very deliberate with that by how some people get eliminated.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
But yeah, that was just an interesting note that I found. Like I said, I read it and I was like, you know what? It's a fair point. And then final one, which I'm not sure if you heard or not. CM Punk
yes, I did hear about this.
was training
Mhm.
with Stephen Amell.
Mhm.
Uh I guess it's a new show or something. It's called I think it was called Heels or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Which
Not
I
heels with a Z, heels with an S, because
yes.
the heels with a Z is heels AEW
No, I
version.
think that's with an S.
Is it actually? Because I always
Yes.
thought it was with a
I
Z.
think it's with
So
an S. But
okay,
anyways, I was not aware of this until I loaded up Twitter
yeah.
and I saw Stephen Amell's post and I'm like, ah, pretty neat, pretty neat.
Oh, it's very
Um,
neat.
so
It'll
that
be
was
on the
just
Stars channel. For those who want to ever check it out.
yeah.
I don't know. I think you can get on Stars with your Amazon Prime accounts. So that's one of the channels you can add to your
Yep,
Amazon
yep,
Prime.
it is because I shared my Prime account with people and somebody activated it and I had to yell
Oh
at
well.
them. Anyways,
Yeah.
from there,
Well,
I don't think I've got nothing else. Do you got anything?
no, that was it was a for news, it was a kind of few days, but some neat ones.
Well, so we're gonna move on to results then.
Yes.
For the Royal Rumble from last night.
And just before we get right into the WWE Championship match, because that comes out first, I want to say WWE really knows how to make their video packages for these opening like
Oh,
pay per
completely,
views.
completely.
They if you didn't think the Rumble was important going into this, as soon as you finished that video package, you thought this was the most important event ever.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Um.
I had to say that because WWE has mastered that
Oh, the video packages make you want to enjoy.
for sure.
Like we'll get to the world title in a second because we got the pre-show to mention first.
Oh right,
But
I forgot about that.
like even McIntyre Goldberg, something that I will be completely honest, I had absolutely no interest in it. Seeing the video package made me a little bit go, okay, this might be interesting. When I had no
Yeah,
interest in it before the video package. And I mean, I've seen all the stuff they showed in the video package. I've been watching everything up to this point, but for
yeah,
some reason they put it together in such a way
yeah.
that it just yeah, it makes you enjoy
You
it.
feel like you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Even though I literally know what's about to. Well, I mean, for that match specifically, we didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, had a solid idea, but it was like a matter of who came out on top.
Yeah, it was like, well, how are WWE gonna do this?
But yeah, anyways, so first it was moved to the pre-show, which just made me kind of roll my eyes. The women's tag team championship match, the champions Charlotte Flair and Asuka against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, ended up being basically what I kind of assumed with what they've been doing with the Lacey bit lately. Um, it was a solid match for the most part. I've got no big issues. They ran the finish of the match how I figured they should. Ric
Right,
Flair comes out, um, causes enough of a distraction there. And then there's a bit between Lacey and Charlotte at one point, where they kind of fight. Charlotte takes out Lacey, gets back in. Flair comes down, hands Lacey Evans something, which I'm not sure if it was a ring or what exactly, but it was obviously it was something.
To put on her hand or something.
Yeah, Charlotte's head kind of slips under the bottom right, bottom rope, and Lacey Evans gives a women's right to Charlotte with whatever this is.
Loading
And
her hand similar to the way like Sean Spears does, then
yeah,
basically.
yeah, hell, what Flair used to do.
Oh, very true, very true.
Um, and so that gives Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax the win, crowning new women's tag team champions. Um, yeah, and like I said, a new segment coming up where we'll run through the results first, then we got a fun bit to go through here. Um, but yeah, and then we get to the show opening. Love the pyro. I gotta put that out there.
Yeah,
Um, that's one thing I can say the Thunderdome has given to WWE, which I've enjoyed out of it, is some utterly fantastic pyrotechnics. I'm a big fan of pyrotechnics in wrestling and music
yeah,
concerts. It's why I'm such a big Kiss fan. If they're done right, it can make something feel fantastic. And
right.
uh
Well, WWE got away from it for a long time,
which
and I'm
upset me
worried.
so much.
I am really worried they're gonna go back to it when the fans come back. Is because like I think the issue was they couldn't afford it anymore, basically, and I'm like,
They
how?
they cut it to watch costs, but I guarantee you with AEW now, which if you've noticed, AEW came back. There was pyro with them right off the bat. Like it's not
Oh yeah,
this crazy pyro because
no,
that's not what they're aiming for, but it was pyro and fans immediately like something that small. Like to me, the first set of pyro at Double or Nothing, I went, oh,
well,
pyro in
Cody's
wrestling again.
fire, yeah, the fire shoots up for Cody, and you're like, oh,
And like the second
like
they started doing that, like 2 weeks later, WWE brought pyro back. And so
exactly,
and there was a tie there. But I like it. It makes it like the people who have pyro, like not all the big superstars, the female wrestlers, not everybody needs it. But sometimes it
no,
makes an entrance. Somebody like AJ Styles. AJ Styles entrance was lacking for a very long time, and it was because there was no pyro.
yeah, and like you'd think, well, Mandy Rose, she doesn't need pyro. You can do some camera work to make her entrance feel special if you want to. Like there are things like I think WWE's issue was every single person on the card had a pyro shot in their entrance.
Which adds up, especially when your opening pyro is a few $1,000s every show.
Yeah, and then I mean if you get Kane appearing at any point, that fire shot that he does, it's all the stage and the posts light up at the same
Yeah.
time. Like
Thankfully for the fire is a hell of a lot cheaper to set off, but it still
for
costs
sure.
money.
Yeah, like and
You're a
that's a lot.
business. Yeah. But yeah, so we are setting up for the WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre champion against Goldberg. Um a few interesting notes which I know you messaged me about. Goldberg apparently stole Brock Lesnar's shorts.
And then just taped his stuff over top. He's like, "Oh, there's my tattoo on the thigh and on my ass."
Yeah, pretty well.
Like,
Um and I was really annoyed, which I'll get to in a second. But Goldberg's entrance, I liked how they came through the back of Tropicana Field, gave us a nice shot there before what would end up being in the last man last man standing match. It was a really nice shot because I really haven't seen anything outside of the post match interviews from like the Superstar Spectacle and stuff. So
yeah,
it was a really cool shot watching him walk through there. Um, but I was really annoyed that he got to the ring and then they played the video package.
yeah.
Like why?
They should have flipped it. But
I just
actually, did they do? I thought they did a video package for Goldberg and then a video package for Drew.
no
No.
no. We got the
Okay.
opening of the show, the pyro, Goldberg, and then the
Right.
the 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 video package for the match, and then Drew came out.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. No, that is how it happened. I just was thinking for whatever reason there was a specific one for just Goldberg. But yeah, no.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, so we got that video package. And then Drew come to the ring.
Yeah.
And we end up getting a brawl before the match.
Which I don't know why the bell didn't just ring, because they were in the ring. The championship had been held up. The ref should have just rang the bell as soon as Drew headbutted him. Like,
Which
but
clean headbutt, by the way, by
oh, it
Drew.
was. It was
Clean.
great. Like, and
Um
it dropped Goldberg. Like,
oh, as it should have.
yeah.
Um
And then I don't know if he hits a, he hits a spear, and then Goldberg kind of rolls out of the ring. The
yeah.
ring.
And then we get a bit of a brawl out there, which basically results at the end of it with Goldberg hitting a spear on McIntyre through the barricade, which I
The
saw coming
steel
from.
barricade.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I saw that coming from a mile away the second they were
Yeah.
out there. I was like, okay, so somebody's going through something.
For sure. I thought it was neat though. The barricade broke, and for the rest of the match, we could see like the bottom row of
The
fans
bottom
that
row of the
normally you can just see
Thunderdome
their
fans.
hands. Like,
Yeah. But
I thought that was funny.
they get in the ring. We get the bell finally going, and
Yeah,
really just a finisher fest,
it
which
was.
was expected. I'm sorry, when I see Goldberg's name on a card anymore, I don't expect much else besides a spear and a jackhammer.
Spear, jackhammer, spear, 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 jackhammer.
Um, but it did make McIntyre look strong coming out of it after the
Yes.
spears and the jackhammer. Um,
I think they pointed out on commentary he's one of like 3 or 4 people to kick out of it since
uh,
Goldberg's come back.
yeah, out of the
The
jackhammer.
jackhammer.
Yeah.
So
Um, so that was a really interesting note.
yeah. And I mean, it goes where I didn't think it would go. With Goldberg goes for this big spear. He's kind of setting it up in the corner. This is going to be like his last sort of hurrah spear sort of thing. And Drew just moves. He runs into the post, and Drew hits the claymore. And 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
absolutely. Like,
Which fun fact, since I've got the notes up here, that match was 2 minutes and 32 seconds.
is that longer than the Goldberg Brock match? Yes. Yeah.
Mm, okay, so I am going to search that. That was what, Survivor Series of 20,
Survivor Series in Toronto.
yeah,
Would be the easiest way.
20, oh jeez, Toronto, yeah, that's 26, 2016. Holy hell, what? 2016?
Okay.
Yes, it was almost a minute longer.
Right. Yeah.
Goldberg and
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar was 1 minute and 26 seconds. We got 2 minutes and 32 seconds
Is that
between.
including the brawl?
I don't believe so. Including the brawl,
Okay.
we're probably looking at like 8 minutes or so because they
Oh,
let
but
McIntyre come back from it and stuff like that.
Goldberg's longest match.
Yeah, pretty well. Um,
They shake hands after, which
they
is
shake
nice.
hands, and there's actually a really nice show of respect and something that I probably my favorite part of the segment, which we'll get to later. But Goldberg, it's not quite noticeable if you weren't paying attention, but Goldberg looks at McIntyre and goes, "You passed the test,"
Yeah.
which I was like a little bit in me was like, I'm like, really, you're the test, but at the same time I was like, you know what, fair point, I will let that one slide because you are a legend, you had a great big winning streak, like you're you know we look at him a lot now and roll our eyes because of what he's doing now, but let's not take
Yeah.
away from who Goldberg was. He
Well, I hope
was a
for sure.
beast.
And I hope, and I say this not trying to be mean to him, but I hope he goes away for at least a little while. And when he does come back, It's not in the same capacity that we've seen him in. Have him come back and do what Undertaker did. Just pick a fight with some random guy. Don't go for the title.
Well,
Like,
if you don't remember, because I forgot until just recently, him and Ziggler.
what?
Do you not remember that?
Excuse me?
Do you not remember if I'm not mistaken, it was at SummerSlam. Yep. Goldberg versus Dolph
Whoa.
Ziggler. Yeah. Yeah, SummerSlam 2019. That
Right.
because I forgot about it until like 2 days ago, and it popped up on my Twitter feed, and I was like, what the hell? Um, if he were to keep coming back, and like, sure, he killed Ziggler in that match, but if we get something like that, sure. I'm tired of seeing him in the title picture. We don't need him in a title picture anymore.
You want to know something neat I just read about Googling this Dolph Ziggler thing? He threatened to quit over the duration of the match with Goldberg.
Oh yes, I do remember hearing that around the time of that match.
Oh, I don't blame him. He got his ass kicked and he shouldn't have. Fairness to Ziggler, is a Hall of Famer in the future. Like, he has done
Oh
enough to
yeah.
be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, 100%.
People can argue with me about that too, and I will fight them. He's been a world champion multiple times, multiple time mid card title holder, multiple time tag team champion, won the Money in the Bank. He is very prominent. I think he's had the most appearances minus Kane in Royal Rumbles. Like,
More than likely.
actually, sorry, he broke the tie between him and Kofi, most consecutive in a row
Oh,
Rumbles.
okay. Okay.
Because Kofi couldn't. That was what happened tonight. Dolph appeared, Kofi couldn't come into the Rumble.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
he is now ahead of Kofi in the consecutive Rumbles.
Okay, wow. But yeah, like if he were to come back and do stuff similar, but kind of put guys over a little more, I'd be cool
Yeah,
with that.
for
But
sure.
but yeah. So moving on from that, we got the SmackDown Women's Championship match. The champion Sasha Banks defending against Carmella with her sommelier Reginald. Um, which all in all, pretty damn decent match.
It went longer than I thought it would.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, one thing I'll say, Sasha hits Carmella with a big chop, and Cole goes, "That was a big slap." And I
Yeah.
just got annoyed by that. It's a
Uh,
chop for guys, it's a chop for girls.
oh, exactly. 100%. 100%.
So
Um
I just wanted to point that out.
no, that's a very good point. I guess I must have noticed that, but now that you told me that, I'm kind of annoyed.
Yeah, like,
But like it ended up being another one of those decent matches. And
yeah, and Reggie didn't get involved near as much as I thought he did
yeah.
to get thrown out.
Yeah, I actually for those watching and or listening, had a few people over, close friends in that to watch the show, and there was a comment made when he got thrown out, and it was like, why the hell is he being thrown out when he was attacked?
Yeah.
Like,
And there's storytelling there. Probably the ref has been the ref recently between these two, so he knows that that means Reginald is likely going to get involved further. So he's just
yeah.
like, I'm going to put a stop to it right away, which, fairness, the ref can do whatever he wants, but it just seemed a bit odd.
But this comes into not to sit on it forever, but we've made the point a lot for those that are in a sense a casual viewer. When you pull something like that, you need
Yeah.
to make a point,
Yes.
because in theory he was the one who was attacked,
Yeah.
which pled no reason as to why he got thrown out.
Right, exactly. And that's a little bit of poor, not even storytelling on WWE's part, just lazy writing basically.
Pretty
Just
well.
let him get involved a little bit more, have him break up a pin, and that's enough. Normally,
Yeah.
they get thrown out after a broken up pinfall.
Yeah,
Like,
so I don't know, I found it odd that, like, even if there was something more behind it as to, like, the referee had refereed previous stuff, whatnot, the commentator should have been on top of that if that was the case, because I don't know.
right. Right.
But
I can't remember what ref it was. I don't think it's one of the ones we know their names of. Like
yeah.
he's one of their newer ones. But he did a good job of immediately dealing with the person who's definitely gonna get involved. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, 100%, but it just
Like,
it was like one of those plot hole type deals.
exactly.
But to my surprise, Sasha came out on top. I'm honestly surprised. Because I figured it was going to be Reginald getting involved and costing Sasha the title. So
Right.
that's why I'm surprised by the outcome. But Sasha Banks retains, and
It in Carmella's defense here as well, she put up a good fight even
oh
after
yeah,
Reginald left. So I can see Carmella likely in the next superstar shakeup, whenever that'll be, her getting moved to Raw and going for that title. Because I don't see her in the SmackDown title picture again anytime within the
yeah.
next year, unfortunately.
Well, I will say this, and I strongly stand behind it. Messaging with a friend last night about it. I have been very impressed over the past handful of months with Carmella's in-ring ability, the improvement of it. You bring back to when she was featured as, the main woman on I think it was SmackDown.
Yep.
And
She's only been on
she
SmackDown, I think.
she was decent, but she wasn't good or great. And now I honestly, there is a complete jump from where she was. She's doing fantastic, and she's really showing it. So the thing is, like, that time for her, like you said, going to Raw or something, whatever it takes, that time is coming.
Mhm.
It's just gonna be
Or
more of a
even
matter
going to
of when.
NXT. It's not a downgrade anymore. It
No, it's
going to
not.
NXT and winning the I would if I was a woman in WWE, I would rather win the NXT women's title than the Raw or SmackDown one because you're likely going to have a better feud with that belt.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Like,
But yeah, moving on from that match, we get a segment backstage. Starts off with Xavier Woods and Big E. Big E's kind of ribbing on Xavier a little bit, which I got a good chuckle out of.
yeah,
And
it
then
was
we get
good.
Sami Zayn coming in, and
He sees all. He sees
he
everything,
he
right?
sees everything. Um,
Except for Kofi coming up behind him.
oh my God, Kofi runs up and scares the shit out of it. Well, I was actually very surprised seeing Kofi, and with him being like
Yeah.
in full gear, I was like, wait, is he cleared? And then he makes a comment about not being cleared, and I was so upset because I was so
But
excited.
you made a point he was in full gear. The reason he was in full gear is
Beautiful,
because
beautiful gear.
all of his gear was that of Brody Lee,
Yeah.
and just a
Very,
great shout out.
very nice. Very well done gear.
Yeah,
Brody Lee. Um, yeah, them being like I'm here to rep my boy type deal. It
yeah,
was just very nice.
yeah. I got a little choked up during
Yeah,
that. It honestly, as soon as I saw it, I messaged you. I'm like, I'm not crying, you're crying.
yeah,
Like, it was one of those things where you forget the impact he even had on the WWE locker room. So
yeah,
you
because we're
see
getting
things like
so
that.
used to AEW, and I mean his son being there and being involved and stuff,
Yeah,
that you kind of forget about the other side of the pond where he was, right? He was
right.
there for so long, the friendships, everything that he
Yeah,
did there. So it's nice to see, and a cool little note is the photo that was used was him and his Exalted One. stuff, which I thought
Yeah.
was, because when they showed it, I only caught a quick glimpse of it, and then going on to my Instagram, I follow Main Event Gear, I think, is the one that posted it. They do gear for like next to everyone. Um and they posted it, and yeah, it was basically the Exalted One um image, which I found to be really interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Well, WWE probably didn't care because at this point it's not promotional.
yeah,
It's
like if they're
nothing to
gonna
do with
say
that.
something, about it, like they just need to fuck off.
Yeah.
Easy as that.
Well, the thing is, New Day didn't mention Brody Lee.
They
If
yeah
they were going to mention a name, it was going to be Luke Harper.
yeah
But they just said my boy, and even commentators, they were like, I think they made a point of saying, and Biggie and Xavier Woods are wearing some tribute gear tonight. I
yeah
think that's about
yeah.
all we got.
I don't think it was ever said.
Which is
Which
fine. We
fine.
know as wrestling fans who the guy is. We don't need constant reminders, but these
Exactly.
little touches are fine. You see
Yes.
people throwing discus lariats and you go, that's probably a Luke Harper nod.
Yeah.
Like nobody throws a discus lariat anymore, but now you see it in almost every
Yeah,
match.
suddenly it's there again, which I am a-okay with. I am a-okay
Yeah,
with it.
I'm absolutely fine with it. Like,
Um but yeah, and we go from that to the musical performance of the night from Bad Bunny. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it cuz I don't enjoy that kind of music, but I just kind of sat there and was like, where is the, other than Booker at the end doing the his signature line there. I didn't get a whole hell of a lot of entertainment out of it
I
personally.
I unfortunately just didn't understand it. It was like when the song Despacito, I
Despacito,
think,
yeah.
when that became big, I didn't understand why because I didn't know what was being said in the song. It was similar to Gangnam Style. I didn't understand what was being said in the song. It was a funny song because what you think is being said, but you don't know what the actual stories of it is.
Yeah.
Like Gangnam Style is a love song. Did you know that? Like,
Yes, yes I did. Um
like
but yeah, I don't know. I was like,
so.
dude wrote a song, called it Booker T, and suddenly he's here.
Oh, it's
Where
called.
was, yeah, the song is called Booker T.
Oh, okay.
So my question is, the band, if you're not aware of them, Bowling for Soup, uh, very good band. Uh, where was their performance when they wrote the song Alexa Bliss, which I enjoy. If you've ever heard the song, it's a good song.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Anyways, so we move on from that performance to the women's rumble, which I'm now gonna flip my stuff here because I just enjoyed the match as a fan.
Yeah. Oh, I did, but I was quickly typing the names of the entrants and as they got eliminated as well. So,
so so yeah, women's rumble.
yeah.
Excuse me. We we start off number one, Bailey, which I got a kind of a shock from.
Yeah, and she lasted a long time too in the Rumble too.
29 minutes and 8 seconds.
Exactly, right? Like so she was there for a really long time. So,
And then Naomi, number two, which
yeah.
was a nice surprise.
One of my guesses. So,
So
Caleb didn't do his guesses this year, but I made a list of just some guesses. I'll point out kind of if I nailed a guess of somebody who returned this
yeah,
in the Rumble here.
yeah. Normally I do it just for my own fun, just to see how accurate I am. But for some reason this
Right.
year, I don't know if it was just not having the time, or I don't know. I just didn't get around to it. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, and it's not like it's a big deal. I just had the time to quickly make a list of I think it's only like 17 people for the women. So,
only 17.
it took me 5 minutes. It wasn't that bad.
But I don't know how we want to run through this other than just kind of going through
I just say we run through the entrances, and if somebody gets eliminated before that entrance, I'll let you know because I have it written
yep.
in when they got
Sure.
eliminated.
Sure. So as we said, 1 is Bailey, 2 is Naomi. Then we have number 3 come out, Bianca Belair. Um,
Yeah.
and
Which
then
interesting point. In the men's rumble, they point out number 3 is the most unlucky number in the Royal Rumble.
number 3 is now?
Well, because it's had the least amount of time ever in a Royal Rumble.
Well, add almost 57 minutes onto that from Bianca Belair.
I know. I was like, is that
Wow.
including tonight when they said that? But
Well, it must
yeah,
not. Well, maybe it still is. Who knows?
right.
Um, and then number 4 is Billie Kay, which funny bit with her, she just walks right over to the announce table, sits down, and the next few that come out, she ends up going over and trying to pawn her headshot and resume off on. So
Yeah.
that was a fun little note there. Um, and then I was very pleasantly surprised. Entrant number 5, Shotzi Blackheart. I was so
With her
happy.
tank.
Yes, I was so happy.
Oh,
Uh,
as well. This is one of my guesses too. She was on my list.
totally fair. Totally fair. Um, yeah, number 6, Shayna Baszler.
Yeah. I don't think Billy came up and asked her to be on her team. I think she was too scared of her.
She
But I
she
don't
went to go
remember.
get up, and then I think she sat back down. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah. So that was kind of
Um,
neat.
and fun fact here, Shayna Baszler actually lasted almost 42 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Which,
really impressive. Like
yep,
I didn't realize when she was towards the end there, that she came in at number 6. Because
yep.
yeah, she did last a really long
She
time.
she got the second most eliminations in the match as well.
With how many?
6.
Oh wow. There was not a lot of people in either Rumble that got consecutive like eliminations. I
Yeah.
think probably the most that
Well,
were is like 6 or 7.
when we get down to the men's, I'll take a look there.
For sure, yeah.
The most in this rumble was 7 by Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
But Shayna Baszler, and then number 7, which I popped big for again, as we've talked about. Tony Storm. I'm a big Tony
Yes.
Storm fan.
This is also a guest that I had on my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of her. Like
And then I kind of curled up in a ball and started yelling no when number 8 hit.
oh,
Uh,
actually before number 8 hits, Shayna Baszler eliminates Shotzi Blackheart.
yep. Okay.
Just
Yep. Yeah. Like I said,
yeah.
pipe in as we're
I will
going.
pipe in if there's elimination before the number comes out. So.
But number 8, for those of you who are fans from Ruthless Aggression era, Jillian Hall comes out singing her entrance music. Um,
And it's one of those ones where you're like, oh, I didn't dream that.
yeah, like was that whole gimmick a dream? But no.
like, yeah.
Um, and Billie Kay finally finds somebody to partner up with, which I expected her to wait until Peyton Royce came out.
Which, yeah, especially because when Peyton comes out,
Oh,
like,
it broke my heart. It broke my heart so bad.
yeah. But they
Um,
form Billy and Jilly.
that yeah. Anyways,
Doesn't
um,
last long.
no, not one bit. And then number 9, Ruby Riot.
Yep.
Um, and then number 10, which got a huge pop from me because I was
And I
not
mean,
expecting it.
me too, and probably the biggest surprise, like surprise of
Of
the
the
night.
match. Oh
Of
yeah.
the yeah, sorry, not of the night, of the match. There's one in the men's
Yeah,
that's
I was
a
gonna
bigger
say
surprise.
there's one that caught me a little more off guard, but
Yeah.
Victoria, long awaited return to the WW of E. Um,
Yeah, and she looked great. She
she
just
she
How
looked
long did she last, by the way?
7 minutes and 15 seconds
I thought it was a lot longer than
with
that.
no eliminations.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but she does pull on Belair's hair for a while, and I liked seeing that.
Oh, you just got a deep-seated hatred there.
I don't like that she can use it as a weapon, but she can't get her hair pulled. It's an inconsistency that bothered me, and Victoria, clearly it bothered her too.
uh So yeah, number 11, Peyton Royce. Like I said, broke my heart a little bit.
But we did get the iconic reunion.
A,
They
a
did.
bit, a bit.
Who was Peyton standing on when they did it?
Just it. I can't figure out
I want to
who.
say it was Jillian Hall. And that's
Mm,
why Jillian started getting mad at her.
no, I want to say it was either Ruby Riot or I'm not 100% sure.
I feel like it was a blonde, but I can't. Oh, you know, it might have been Tony.
Good point, might have been. But yeah, they hit a double team maneuver and then go for the iconic pose. And Billy stops herself. And it just kind of broke my heart a little bit because I was a big Iconics fan as well.
Why did they break them up? Like, oh, this match means if they lose, they're no longer. Why?
Yeah, no. But yeah, and then
Especially with the tag titles existing. Sorry.
100%, 100%, 100%. Uh, number 12, which was a complete surprise for me. Santana Garrett.
I didn't
Um,
know who this was, unfortunately. I had not seen her yet before on NXT.
so I have seen stuff with Santana Garrett, thankfully, previously at NXT. My favorite, I got a kick out of it, and I'm sure he wouldn't have me telling Mitchell, as we both know, good friend. We're sitting there, and all that comes up on the Titantron is Santana. And I look over at Mitch, and Mitch turns his head, and I go, "Don't worry, Mitch. It's a woman from NXT." And he goes, "Good," because I was going to be really confused why Santana from the Inner Circle from AEW was coming out in the Women's Rumble. Like, don't worry, Mitch. Don't
Oh,
worry.
trust me, I saw that name and I was like, there's a woman named Santana? Like,
Oh, jeez.
that was all like I thought. I didn't think it was gonna be Santana
Oh.
from AEW.
Well, no, I was being an ass to him because he just looked
For
really
sure.
confused. But I was like, I got this. I can pull this one.
Oh, for sure. And
Um.
all love to Mitch because he's a newer wrestling fan, so
Oh
he's still
yeah.
figuring things out.
Oh my God. He's only getting into it because we lived together for 3.5 years, and he really didn't have a choice multiple times a week.
True, and he likely will make an appearance on this pod at some
Oh,
point or
oh,
another.
guaranteed. Only reason he hasn't yet is because he's still in school right now. So
Yeah,
when we
so
run the podcast, he's busy. So or else he
yeah,
probably would have been on this one. Um,
for sure.
but yeah, Santana Garrett, which was a really nice surprise. Number
Yeah,
13, Liv Morgan, one of my favorites right now, as well.
absolutely.
Um,
And then just before the next entrance, we have Billy Kay who eliminates Jillian Hall. And then Ruby Riot and Liv Morgan, they eliminate Billy Kay right afterwards.
yeah. Um,
That's 3 eliminations right now. And we're at 14.
yeah, I was very surprised by the amount in the ring at once. Number 14, Rhea Ripley from still being said from NXT.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't worry, she takes care of the amount of people in the ring.
yeah, seven eliminations overall, 39 minutes and 6
Uh
seconds in the match.
well, before the next entrant, she eliminates Tony Storm, Victoria, and Santana Garrett.
And not Santina Marella.
I know.
Not in this one, thank God.
Not yet.
Um,
Next year.
and then number 15, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Lasted 33 minutes and 47 seconds.
And she goes to the final 4, I believe. So that's
She was eliminated 28th.
yeah.
So she was in
So
final
top
3.
3.
Final 3.
Yeah. And so right after Charlotte comes in, Bailey eliminates Ruby Riot.
Yep.
And then we get the next entrant.
Number 16, Dana Brooke.
Yeah.
Um,
I always forget what her music is like, so I didn't realize who it was when she came out.
the music hit, and I'm like, who? Oh, Dana Brooke. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Got
She
you.
came out to the ring real quick, so it wasn't like we had to guess quick. So.
Exactly. And I don't know if there's anybody in between
There
there.
was. Peyton Royce eliminates Liv Morgan. sad.
Okay, yeah. Oh, when Liv went over, I was actually like devastated.
Yeah. Liv is a really good competitor and she deserves a singles run. Like, I love the Riot Squad, but I think she could be a really good singles person.
Do yourself a favor and go and watch your documentary on the WWE network if you have not yet. It is worth it 110%. Um,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, one of these days we're gonna roll in money from advertising for these people.
Hopefully.
Number 17, which got me cheering from my seat, Tori Wilson. Um,
I love to see her. Like,
Always good to see Tori.
when WWE brings back their divas, I guess you can call them at
Well,
that
it
point.
was the Divas era.
I love it because there were so many in that time that were fantastic wrestlers that just weren't in the right time.
Oh, exactly.
Like,
Like they could put on an absolute classic of a match, but sadly they were in the Divas era and they weren't
yeah,
allowed to put on an absolute classic of a match. That's like hearing stories of female wrestlers in the Divas era that would have to go out and retape a match because their punches looked too good.
right. Like, it's
Which
just
I
you
actually
can't.
think was Victoria and Michelle McCool or something like that happened to. They were actually told to go back out in front of the live audience and retape their match because their punches looked too good.
That was clearly before Taker married her then. Because
So
I bet that wouldn't have happened
no,
if
that wouldn't have flown with Taker. Um,
and then after or before we get the number 18, Rhea Ripley eliminates Dana Brooke.
okay. And the number 18, Lacey Evans.
In
Uh,
well, they claimed it was Charlotte's robe, but on the back it did say Rick.
it
So
said Nature Boy.
did it, okay, well,
Yeah,
either way, I
which
could
is
tell it was
Rick. It
yeah,
is
it was Rick. Like that yeah.
yeah.
But it as the fabric it was on also kind of looked like it was just kind of pinned on there too. So maybe they grabbed hers quick and pinned that onto it so that way it was like
Yeah.
Rick's thing.
Well,
Of
one of
course.
the points that I made was those robes. If you listen to interviews, like, because when I saw it and she was getting into the ring with it, I was like, oh no, because Rick would pay upwards of thousands for certain robes. And so like when she was getting in the ring with it, I was like, can we not destroy this robe if it's actually a Ric Flair robe? Cause
Yeah,
like,
well, it started to fall. You could see the feathers
oh, the
falling off,
feathers.
and I'm like, "Oh no!"
It's like a plane freaking hit some kind of purple bird in the sky, and there
Yeah,
it was.
it was bad. Speaking of purple, your drink there.
Yes, my water. Yeah.
I just saw that as you said that. So, and
Uh,
then before we get number 19, we get Charlotte eliminating Peyton Royce, Shayna Baszler eliminating Tori Wilson, and Bianca Belair eliminating Bailey. Bailey's interesting one because as Mickey James is number 19,
yeah,
as
Mickey
Mickey
James. Yep.
James is coming out, um, Bailey is thrown out, and the commentators don't notice.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and that's shocking because Bailey's one of their like top people, and they had to watch a replay to find out she got eliminated. And you could hear Graves realize he's like, "Oh, crap, she's gone!" Like
Oh yeah, like
they
cause
just missed it.
I don't know if I caught it out of the corner of my eye or something, but I'm like, I think Bailey went out, and then they showed the replay, and I'm like, okay, Bailey did go out.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but yeah, Mickey James, which was a really awesome surprise.
This is also on. She was on my list of guesses.
And then number 20, if there's nobody in between
Nope.
there. Number 20, Nikki Cross.
Also on my list.
Uh,
There's
and
not many
then
more after this.
21, anything in between here?
Nope.
21, Alicia Fox, making a nice little piece in here, which actually leads to, I probably shouldn't have gotten as good of a chuckle out of it as I did. But R-Truth runs down, hops up on the apron, and she's yelling at him, and the whole wrong match, my bad.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say, I had on my list, R-Truth was one of the entrants, but I'm counting it because he comes in, he gets involved, and Alicia Fox wins the 24/7 title. Uh,
Yep.
and but it was so funny. Just I'm counting it because I was like, R-Truth's gonna come in as an entrant, but he didn't. He just it was even better than I thought it was. So
Yeah. And then 22, Mandy Rose. Um,
and she quickly eliminates Alicia Fox, who gets pinned by R-Truth. He gets his title back and then runs off.
runs off. Yeah. Um, 23, which got a good pop from me. Dakota Kai, very, very excited to see her in another match. Too bad
Yeah,
she
for
only
sure.
lasted 2 minutes and 6 seconds, but
Ugh. And then Lacey Evans eliminates Mickey James before number 24 is another one on my list, Carmella.
yep, Carmella. And there was a fun little bit with her and Reginald and that multiple times throughout the match.
Yep.
Um,
And then before we got to number 25, we had Rhea Ripley eliminating Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley eliminating Mandy Rose, Nikki Cross almost eliminates Carmella, but Reggie then saves her, and then Carmella eliminates Nikki Cross.
yep. And then we get number 25, Tamina coming out, and as Tamina's coming out, um, we have Reggie holding Carmella on the outside.
Yeah.
Um, and as Reggie turns and Tamina's ready to super kick his bloody head into the sky, Carmella jumps out of his arms. And
So my question here is that Tamina's elimination or is that Rhea Ripley's elimination? Because Rhea threw her over the ropes.
so according to this chart, it's Tamina's elimination.
Interesting.
So I'll
Okay.
have to look into that a little more after, but
I would argue, I mean, that's who I saw throw over. I could be wrong. I would argue that that should be Rhea's elimination because Tamina had yet to actually enter the Rumble. But
yeah,
that's
but
just me.
they've called it in past years where people have come
For
up, they
sure.
haven't actually entered yet, pulled somebody out and then slid in, and it was their elimination. So,
For sure. And I mean, even in
um,
the men's, there's a guy who's not even in the Rumble who eliminates people. Like, you know, it's it's fair, but it's just something that I wanted to
oh,
question. If I didn't know
yeah,
if you had an idea on it
yeah.
or not.
Well, this claims Tamina, so. And then number 26
Oh, actually,
is
hang on. Before that, sorry. Bianca pushes Naomi out of the ring, and then they kind of do this weird, like, I don't even know what you would call it. Like, I
well,
don't know
they're
why they needed to use the momentum together because they're hanging over like the
well.
apron,
I made a comment because they were both like still kind of holding themselves up. I'm like, I wish I had that kind of core strength.
right?
Like,
like,
but yeah,
but
they're kind of hanging bottom rope with their feet and they're hanging on the outside.
yeah, and they work together to get themselves back into the ring. But what they do to me doesn't make any sense because they didn't need to swing together. They could have just grabbed the ropes with their backhand and pulled themselves in. And that's just me overthinking it, probably. But
Yes, but well, I said the same thing at the time. I was like, well, that was unnecessary, but it was just for the spot, I guess.
absolutely, it's Naomi's classic Rumble spot where she's the Kofi of the
Yeah, pretty
Rumble.
well.
Like, so
But yeah, 26 Lana
yeah.
making her
Da,
basically
da, da.
return. That was the first time
Sorry.
since around TLC, I want to
Mhm.
say. I believe they
She got
said.
hurt at TLC because she was supposed to be Asuka's partner,
That's right, and
and
that's why Charlotte returned, right? Thank you.
which in theory means she was supposed to be losing the titles tonight.
Okay.
Or last night, I guess. But yeah, like
Interesting
a-
note. Cool.
anyway.
Um and then is there somebody out before that? Before
From
27?
Lana, no, nobody.
So 27 is Alexa Bliss, which I was super disappointed
And why did
with a
everybody just
minute and
gang up
two
on her?
seconds. She yeah,
Everybody
she
just jumped her.
she comes in and everybody jumped her. Um And then is
Oh,
she eliminated before
yes.
28? Yeah.
Yeah, Rhea
So
Ripley eliminates Alexa.
yeah, she's standing in the middle of the ring. The lights are starting to go out. Obviously, they're gonna start doing the transformation thing, which I actually was popping for. I was like, "Oh
For
my god!
sure.
Like, are we actually seeing this?" And then Rhea Ripley was just like, "Nah." And I was really upset because literally she hit the floor and we never saw her again. I was like,
Yeah,
maybe we'll get something,
right.
as to that, and there was nothing.
The one thing I'll note, WWE was self-aware there. They had the audience boo. They knew they had the clip sound. The audience booed when Alexa went over. They
Okay,
knew that that
I
was a bad spot. They knew
so
themselves.
So I'll be honest, and I said it to those that I was watching with last night. I have really tuned out the Thunderdome,
For sure.
just due to the fact of we know it's piped in audio, which there was a lot of issues during the Rumble match where either the countdown they would start really loud and then like bring it down, or like you could barely hear it. Or my favorite is when they would cut too early
Yeah.
with the piping in the audio. But so that's really nice that they were aware enough to
Yeah.
boo it.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
that Alexa hits the ground and you just hear the audience just boo and everything, and it's directed at Rhea, who I believe is a heel character in NXT. I could be
Is
wrong.
she?
I could be wrong. I only
I
saw
want
her
to
in that
say
last man standing match. So
yeah, and in that was against Raquel, right?
who
Who
and they're
is
kind of that anti kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
was gonna
Like
say she reminds me more of like the Deadpool sense, the anti-hero.
yeah, exactly.
Where she's not a heel, but by no means is she the face of the situation.
Exactly. And
Um,
so maybe that's Rhea's situation too, but she got heat from the generated crowd, I guess you could say.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, 28 Ember Moon. Really nice to see her back in.
yeah. No,
Um,
yeah, that was really nice. I don't want her to come back up to the
no,
main
not
roster,
one
and no
bit.
offense to her at all.
No,
Like,
there's no offense. I'm having a lot more enjoyment out of her being down in NXT. Like that's my
yeah.
thing.
No,
When
I mean, and
she
her tag team partner Shotzi was earlier in this match as well. So
Yeah, like when she came up to the main roster initially, I was excited because I was a big fan of Ember Moon. And then, well, we didn't
mhm.
get the Ember Moon we were getting in NXT, and I was like, please go back. And then she did.
Yeah,
So,
and she did, and now she's doing her same gimmick. Although her entrance music has like this odd like Siri-esque voice in front of it now,
yeah,
and I don't know why.
I'm not 100% sure myself.
But before Ember
429.
oh no, never mind. After. Never mind.
Okay, so number 29, Nia Jax, who got 4 eliminations with only being in 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
That's a testament to how many people were still in the ring at 29.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Does it
Um
say how many were left when she came in?
mm, no, not from what I
No.
can see.
Okay. Yeah, because I couldn't keep track of that, but I was doing well enough to keep track of the eliminations. But uh before we get to number 30, who we all know who it is, we get quite a few eliminations. So we get Shayna Baszler eliminating Lacey Evans. Nia Jax eliminates Ember Moon, who Ember Moon lasted not long at all.
1 minute 51 seconds.
Yeah, and then and Nia eliminate Naomi and Tamina as well, and in separate situations, but they did it back to back basically.
Yep.
And then Nia Jax eliminates Shayna Baszler, and she just goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, I had to." Yeah, and then Lana eliminates Nia Jax, and um, then we get the 30th entrant.
Which is Natalia. We all knew from backstage.
Her gear, I was surprised didn't have pink at all.
None.
Like, I'm not
None.
mad at all. I'm assuming there's some kind of throwback because she did do some Luke Harper, Eric, or Brody Lee um, toss ins, like a discus lariat and all that. Like, she was So I feel like there was some kind of tie into Brody Lee or something like that. But
No,
I
that's
could
just her move. She's been doing it for a
not
long
not
time.
not even the lariat. I'm saying the gear of some kind
Oh.
because she was a friend with Brody at one
Yeah,
for a long
I
time. So
don't know. I don't know where the tie-in
yeah.
would have been if there was something, but
I could be
anyways,
digging too far into it, but that was what I was like. I'm hoping that's it because I always picture her in black and pink.
yeah. Well,
So
anyways, there's a big beat down at this
yes.
point.
Baszler and Jax come back in because they're annoyed.
Yeah, and they beat down just about everybody, beat down Natalia outside, which I actually figured we were going to get the Lana finish
I
the
did.
and then they threw
Uh,
Natalia in.
yeah,
Uh
Baszler was like, "Oh no, you get to join the fun too," and I was like, "Okay, good," because I honestly thought it was going to be Becky, because there's been rumblings that she was gonna join and whatever, and I was like, "Are we really doing this
She
again?"
posted on social media, I kid you not, she posted a picture of the curtain at gorilla position, the red curtain with like the black thing, and everybody was freaking out. And at the end of the rumble, she posts going, "Oh, sorry guys, I just thought it was a picture of a really nice curtain." And I'm like, are you
We
kidding me right
clearly know
now?
why she's there later in the night. We find out why she
Obviously.
is in the building, but yeah,
Um
that's very nice. I did not see that.
yeah,
I
it
I
was
love when
great.
wrestlers troll fans because it's perfect. Like
Yeah, and like she posted it before the Rumble, so I'm like, okay, you're not returning in the Rumble match. But then Natalia got taken out, and I'm like, wait,
wait a minute.
wait. Um, but yeah, now go away with the eliminations and
All
whatnot.
right. So we had after Baszler and Jax took out whoever, Natalia eliminated Lana. That was a mouthful for whatever reason. And then Bianca eliminates Natalia, and we are down to the final three: Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. My
Which
guess
is
to
a
win.
picture, which is it's almost exactly like the picture um just over a year ago in NXT after Charlotte won, because
Right.
Bianca was going for the NXT Women's Championship at that time, which Rhea Ripley held, and Charlotte was challenging for it. So there is a picture circulating right now of them in NXT a year ago around this time, just shortly after, and last night.
Very
So
nice.
that was a really nice, almost like a long term storytelling bit, which certain people would grasp onto, which was really nice.
For
But
sure. And then this, like, obviously Rhea Ripley, we said in the podcast, was my pick to win the Rumble here. It goes down to the final two with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley eliminating Charlotte Flair, and she actually looks impressed with them for
yeah,
eliminating her.
she had a shit-eating grin almost.
Yeah, like she was like, "Oh, you fuckers, you eliminated me."
Yeah, you
Like,
got me. You got me. Good
yeah.
job.
And then it's the final two: Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. They go for, I'd say, probably a good 5 or 6 minutes of just fighting and beating on each other for a little bit.
Well, I'm trying to find Rhea Ripley.
It'd be
Okay.
difficult because she was like 16,
14. 14th
14.
then. Um yeah, so I'm not 100% sure, but they went for a few. Well, really nice bit was they were on the apron at one point and they were
Yes.
like, "Truce.
Yeah.
Truce. Let's get back in."
Yeah, exactly. And that was actually Rhea that was
Mhm.
saying like, "Hey, let's do," because Bianca was just gonna do probably similar to what we had with Asuka's win.
And I was so nervous we were getting that.
And I was like, please just let them do the classic throw out. It was a bad time that year. But anyway, we did eventually get Bianca Belair winning
Yep.
the women's Royal Rumble.
Yep,
And
Bianca
I
Belair
sigh,
wins.
I apologize. I just don't see the hype behind this girl.
I'm I don't know, maybe I needed to watch her in NXT.
Maybe.
I don't think, in my personal opinion, there's been enough show on the main roster, which is maybe where I'm missing. Like that's the thing. Like huge congratulations to her. Like this is a big
This was
moment.
your pick, right, to
This is
win
a
and from the pod?
yeah, I believe so.
So we were 1 and 2. We had the final 2 picks.
Yeah.
Like,
So like
oh,
congratulations to her by all means, like irregardless of my feeling there. Like
yeah.
big milestone.
For sure. No,
Hopefully it
exactly.
works out. I just like I said, maybe I missed a large portion of it in NXT and we haven't gotten the chance on the main roster to see it.
And, like,
Hopefully we do if
apparently
that's the case.
yeah, and apparently her chronicle or whatever they
Yeah,
call
the
it,
documentary bit that they did on her, I guess is really good.
I've heard it's good, but at the same time, I feel like they literally just did that to try to gain her the sympathy vote before the Rumble,
It
and
seems like it was released at a very very odd time now with her winning the Rumble. Yeah.
so it's just
100%.
like, um, I don't know, as much as she's not a bad competitor, her gimmick bugs me. And, maybe this is one of those times we need to hit our button and be like, "Hey, this is just us," but
Yeah. Well, we won't stick on it long enough I don't think right now to bother, but
yeah.
I mean there obviously we're going to get a lot more of her in the coming weeks and there's a good chance
Yeah.
that nuclear heat button does get hit.
Oh, I can only
Um
imagine if at the Mania we go the way they're probably gonna go,
pretty
but
well. Um but
we'll
yeah,
see.
so
Maybe she'll
beyond
have changed our opinion of her then. We're
well
not
that's
going to
hey,
say we're
hey,
gonna hate her.
we've got over 2 months. We've got over 2 months. So
Exactly. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because now she's in a position where, unfortunately, I have to give her the benefit of the doubt.
yeah, so here's hoping going forward, but big congratulations, though, irregardless, to Bianca Belair on her
For sure.
victory.
It's a huge milestone. She has now cemented herself in a long, or I guess a short list of winners for the women's, but a long list of Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then after that, we get a segment backstage. Miz and Morrison try and convince this Bad Bunny, to join,
Hmm.
um, and kind of shit on Booker a little bit, and Booker's right there. Uh,
And
so
I thought Booker would be in the Rumble, and
I'm
I mean,
so
it's no
sad.
spoiler that he's not. Like, it was sad.
I do like how Morrison bails like immediately. Like, yeah, no, bye.
Well, I'm not 100% sure. I think Morrison and Booker had some kind of feud for a little while at one point back in the day. But
Possibly, I don't remember entirely, but like during this segment,
yeah,
the second there's a confrontation, Morrison's like, later.
bye. Like, I don't
Not
know.
doing this. Um,
Yeah.
and then we get what I got a really good freaking chuckle out of, if I'm being honest. We go back to the pre-show panel. Our Truth comes in and Peter Rosenberg actually wins the 24/7 title, and I got such a kick out of JBL going, I think I just witnessed the worst moment in wrestling history.
Well, I saw on Instagram that he was the new champion, and when I watched through, because I watched after the live,
Yeah, because you
when
worked.
yeah, when I watched through, I didn't see that. It didn't cut to him going to that.
What?
I not I didn't see that. I have it immediately going to the last man standing match.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, yeah. They cut to the pre-show panel. Our Truth comes in and that asks Rosenberg to move, and he's standing there, and basically you can see Rosenberg like waving in a ref. He rolls him up, gets the win, and takes off, and they're all sitting there. And
That's
JBL
hilarious.
JBL is literally like, I think I just witnessed the worst thing ever in professional wrestling history, and they're all pissing themselves laughing. And they go back to the announce table, and Corey Grave goes, what was his line? David Arquette, you're off the hook now. And I'm like, you guys, leave Arquette
uh,
out of this. He's made up for WC. It
well,
wasn't even his screw up back in WCW. That was
there wasn't.
WCW who
It was
who
booking,
who did that to him.
but Arquette he's got good fun about it. He even says he's the reason it killed WCW. But
Oh yeah.
one thing I will say, I hope, and I say this probably very rudely, but I hope this is the end of the 24/7 title. I hope
Uh,
that putting it on this guy, he's run off. It's done.
no, it's not. You know it's not, because it's all R-Truth's gimmick is now. The second that title's gone, R-Truth is done. Like, it's the
Okay, well,
sad
let him go
truth about
somewhere
it.
else. Let him become Ron Killings again.
I enjoy the R-Truth bits that they're doing.
I mean, I do, but I just don't like, because knowing where Truth was way before he signed for WWE to where he is now, he's not that wrestler, and it's just sad because I feel like he could have been like a top guy in WWE.
But I mean, he's having fun. He's making a lot of money,
For
so
sure.
I'd
No,
take a
exactly.
Truth spot.
For sure. I'm not saying he's in a bad spot. I just wish I could see him in a more prominent spot.
And the thing is, he did get a good spot in his initial run with WWE as
Yeah.
K-Quick.
Well,
Like,
okay, yeah, even before his actual R-Truth run. Like,
yeah. So, but
but you know what I mean? Like,
anyways,
I would have liked to see him as a world champion at some
oh,
point, and I feel like that's not gonna happen at all ever.
well, yeah, like he'll never be world champ. We did get like main event picture R-Truth for a bit, but
Yeah, there was with Morrison and I think it was Sheamus and Cena
yeah,
somewhere. It was that kind of era of feuding.
somewhere around that. But and
Yeah.
then we move on to what was an impressive match for
Yes.
the WWE Universal Championship in a last man standing match, the champion Roman Reigns against Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
I will not just keep going with Reigns' nicknames this time. I did it the once to get to you, and I'll
that's
leave it for
fine.
this show.
Um,
Wow.
Greg Hamilton, he almost dropped the mic when
Yeah,
he was introducing them.
yeah, I
And it
noticed
almost
that.
like I watched it back a couple times. It almost looked like he shivered. So I'm like, is it cold?
So the thing is he had put out a tweet a few weeks back apologizing for his performance on SmackDown. That his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, had tested positive for COVID and was having
Right,
some very severe symptoms of it.
for sure.
So chances are stuff's maybe not cleared up and whatnot, and he's still working. Um, so
So stress related then or whatever,
could
but
be.
it just looked a little odd and I was just concerned for him. I was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah,
Like,
he didn't seem.
well, and even like because it sat on him after he talked about this match and happening, and you wait for Kevin Owens' music to hit, so they're just kind of sitting on him there. He's sitting there and he's just kind of like,
Yeah,
and he just
like,
because he knows he messed up, he's like, oh god, like
yeah.
he just didn't look like he was there. You know what I mean? Like he,
Oh, I 100% get what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, it just
Um.
it's unfortunate because he is a very good announcer. So
Yeah. So if something is going on, wish him all the best. Obviously.
exactly, I just wanted
Um.
to point that out. Didn't know, and glad that you actually knew a little bit more about that for sure.
Yeah.
So
So. But I mean, this match. Start to almost finish. I was impressed. Lots of spots throughout the whole match.
well, I would say the time I thought the finish happened was when Reigns sent Kevin Owens off um the fans board. I
The
thought for sure that
Thunderdome.
was the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought for sure that was that. But he gets up and he literally is just stumbling around. He's like through Gorilla, he's all the way, and we get this really neat shot of Tropicana Field where it's like you start to see what the roof's made of, and like the fact that it is actually a baseball diamond that they appear to have built a room inside of. Um, and then out of nowhere, and I mean out of nowhere, Reigns runs over Kevin Owens with a golf cart.
Which I know a lot of people are comparing to the AEW bit from almost a year ago at this point.
Gosh, yeah,
Um, like just a few months under. Yeah, we understand the comparison, but to be honest,
it's
they
immediately what I thought of, but they were two different levels.
each well, we were talking about it just before the podcast. Each spot has its own merit. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
sure, maybe if you remember that, you think back to the AEW thing. But this was a completely different way of handling it from AEW. Like, you
Hmm.
cannot run both side by side and say the same thing about both. Like,
No, exactly.
so, but really awesome spot. Yeah, just trying to think along with that.
Oh, Reigns shortly after starts beating on Kevin Owens and is just saying, like, he looks up to the skies. He's like, "Your grandfathers are watching this,"
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, Kevin Owens just goes bananas. Hits a pop up power bomb. Hits the splash on Reigns from
Oh,
not from that yet.
it
Just
was it
hits
was
a
off of some of the stage boxes and that they use.
yeah
They keep lighting shit and that in.
yeah.
Um and then he gets Reigns up on a set of tables. And I thought when he starts messing with the forklift, I thought he was going to do the puts it over top of Reigns and gets the win with it. But no, he did not.
It kind of goes to another AEW callback almost, like with the Matt Hardy spot on the forklift. Like
Scissor
it doesn't
lift.
go the same way, but
Yeah, the scissor lift in AEW, yeah.
yeah, but they're very similar in what the spot was going to be for
Mhm.
AEW. Clearly it worked for WWE.
And if you
Uh,
actually notice, like right after the move, when they're showing, you can actually see the padding underneath the tables.
Right. So WWE's clearly witnessed what happened in AEW and learned from it. Because AEW did not want that to happen to Matt. We know this to be true. We know that Matt was supposed to land safe and it just didn't work. Now wrestling companies are taking more precautions, and that is a good thing.
Oh yeah,
I
because
am
that was
not
hella
against that at all.
scary. That was hella
Yeah.
scary.
Well,
Um,
he walked away fine, and that's just probably a testament to the man himself. Like,
oh, 100%. But yeah, some really, really awesome spots. Uh,
KO calls it tribal blood on Reigns' face.
they and then they make their way back in. We get
Fighting through
which
Gorilla again, which was nice.
Yeah, which I knew once they started getting up near the screens, I knew what we were getting. It was a very evident thing. And kudos to the WWE production team, because even after Reigns speared Owens through the LED boards, the LED board stayed on. So congratulations to the WWE production
Yeah.
team.
And I almost thought actually that they were going to repair it in the Rumble, but they didn't. And
They
you could
left
see,
it.
like, there was just a huge hole where people's names was supposed to be. And it's like, okay.
Um, and then
uh,
we end up heading over off to the side
because
again.
KO rolled off of like the little stage area
Yeah,
that he
to get
got
to his
sent through.
feet. Yeah.
Literally, as the ref was going, like, it was just, yeah.
So and then Reigns has some handcuffs. He's beating down Owens, and then Owens handcuffs him uh on one of the lighting structures, the heavy metal lighting structures.
Yeah.
And just as the ref is getting ready to count the 10 on him, he murders the referee, pulls him, hits him right off of another one of the lighting rigs. Um, and I got a little annoyed now, because Heyman comes in, starts
And a
trying
new ref
to
as well.
unhook him. The ref's up to about 6, and he looks down at Heyman and Reigns and realizes that they're not getting out. The ref stops. There's no count, there's no count, there's no count. And then Reigns gets up on his knee about 15-20 seconds later, and the announcers go, "Oh, the ref must be saying he's at a vertical base because of the way he is right now." I'm like, "Hell no, the ref stopped counting 30 seconds ago."
Because he knew that like it's a difficult thing to get handcuffs off when it's a small key. And no offense to Paul, you have fat fingers. I got them too. Like you can't do things with a small little key. Like
But like the ref had just dead ass stopped, which I was like,
yeah.
if Reigns would have been smart, he would have, at which he finally did at one point. He kind of got himself up and bent over, which is a vertical base. You
Which,
need to
why
be
didn't he
back on your
just do
feet.
that initially?
But instead, they made it look really awful because the ref was like I said, he was at a count of 6, and then he looks down and just kind of, you could tell he was being told in his earpiece, stop fucking counting.
Hmm. Well, and it was probably Vince, and you hear "stop fucking counting," and you go, okay.
Yeah, I'm just going back up now.
I don't
Um,
want to lose my job.
and we get Owens getting choked out, and
The guillotine that Reigns does looks really good. I will admit that.
it looks decent.
Like,
Could look better. A
I mean,
guillotine
yeah,
choke,
but
but um, chokes him
it's a
out.
big guy choking out a big guy, right? So it's a
Yeah,
little difficult to make look right all the time.
that's fair.
So
And Reigns picks up the victory, retaining the title.
it was not
Um,
a bad match, all
no,
honesty. Like, even that finish, it sours it a little bit. Probably make what makes almost a perfect match go down a few notches, but
agreed.
it was a good match all around. Not, definitely showed KO's ability to carry a main event when it's his time, and it shows that Reigns is willing to actually take a beating if WWE will let him.
Yeah. Um,
So
fun little quick note here, which really doesn't make a difference, but it's something that I really finally 100% noticed last night. And thinking back to it, I should have noticed a long time ago, but I never did. Off to the side of the entrance ramp, for most of their shows, like it's the cement, it's the concrete, and that, but they actually lay a matting down.
kind of, yeah.
So it looks like concrete, but it's actually a matting because it's all taped off and whatnot. And thinking back to it and thinking of the stuff they normally do off the stage and that, it totally makes sense. It's the cement look-alike matting. And after the
But
show,
it's definitely a hard matting. It's probably only about
oh,
yay
it's
thick,
oh
right?
yeah, like it's not that it's meant to be soft, but it's just an interesting, like I looked into it afterwards because you see it so much, and I never contemplated it, and
Yeah.
then I looked into it last night, and yeah, it's just a cement look-alike matting that they use, because sometimes they end up in, like, right now they're in Tropicana Field, which, if you
If
saw
when they
in the
went backstage,
backstage,
yeah.
they have rubber matting around because it well,
It's a field.
it's a field.
Well, actually, okay, so that's not entirely true. Some NF or NBA stadiums are
MLB.
false turfs. So sorry, thank you. Um, uh, they have false turfs, so they roll the ground out for the baseball games, and then they just put it away for concerts and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Tropicana is, but that could be the case as well.
Well, it's
So
it's
I'm not
similar
100%
to a
sure.
lot of the football stadiums and that too, because
Yeah,
WWE has been in football stadiums for Mania previously where they had to lay their own floor over
for sure.
top, where
Yeah,
there's been others where it is just a false turf.
yeah.
Um, so I'm not sure, but either way,
Whichever it is, yeah.
it was just a fun little thing. Like I said, like I never contemplated that it was a fake, just a padding or something off to the side, but it totally makes
Yeah.
sense why they do so many spots off the edge now too,
Well,
now that
thinking
I'm
back to
thinking
the
about it.
past, yeah.
um
Like, well, makes that spot with May Young, and, Bubba
yeah,
lot better.
exactly. I mean, it's just something to break that fall. I mean, you put
Like,
anything over top of concrete and it makes the fall easier, trust
well,
me.
and probably when they know a big spot like that is coming, they'll pad that area where the land is gonna happen a little bit extra, but
Oh,
hide it as best as they can.
if something big is happening in that area, they more than likely, probably when they lay the ground for that show, because normally with them moving, there is probably a padding underneath that ground that they use.
That's probably like
It's
50% more padding than the one that's just over it, the
yeah,
concrete look-alike one sort of thing.
exactly.
Like, yeah.
But yeah, and then moving on from that, we go into the main event, which let me swap back over to my list here. Um, we go into the main event, the men's 30-man Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
Which absolutely killed it in my opinion. But we'll get into that. So we start the match up. Number one comes out, the rated R superstar Edge, my pick, my favorite um wrestler probably of all time, as we've talked about previously. Which I
Oh,
got a
for
story
sure.
for the end of this before we get into our special segment and of the nights and that. And then Orton comes out number two, and as Orton's coming out, Edge just runs and just
Yeah, he says, "Screw this. We're not doing a rumble. We're fighting."
yeah,
Like,
which they fight up, down, left, right, all around in the ring. Bell rings. And then Sami Zayn comes out number three.
yeah, and he's mad. He's like, "What the hell? I'm number 3 and I got to go against these legends." And he basically just hangs around them. And he's like, as Orton will do something to Edge, he'll do something to Edge, but
Yeah.
then if Orton like turns to him, he'll just kind of walk away.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. And then
so
we have Mustafa Ali at number four.
Cole refused to say the first name. He only called him Ali the entire time.
Yep. Yep. Which fun fact, because they've only been properly in theory pronouncing his name Mustafa for only a short period of time here, because previously it was Mustafa for a long time on the main roster. It was Mustafa
Yeah,
Ali. Mitch, as we previously talked about, he was sitting here and he came out and I went, "Hey, it's Mustafa Ali," and Mitch looked at me so confused because he's missed about 2 months of wrestling since we no longer live together and him being
right,
in school. He only catches certain things. And so when I
right.
said it, he was so confused as to why I was saying it that way. And then the announcer says it. Somebody on the announce team, probably Graves or something, goes, "Mustafa Ali." And Mitch
Yeah.
goes, "Wait, hold on. Since when has it been that?" And I'm like, a few months.
I'd say it's a little over a month now that he made a point of it.
Yeah, probably back in December at some point is when I remember
Yeah.
it being pointed out. Um, and so anyways, the heels are kind of at this point beaten down on Edge. And then number five, Jeff Hardy comes out to kind of save the day. Um, which then leads Edge and Orton off on another tangent, brawling
Yeah.
around. They come around to the announce table, get up on it. Orton goes for an RKO, which Edge reverses into. It was probably supposed to be an execution, but just a lift DDT.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um, as much as you can do on an announce table.
Yeah,
um,
and I like that WWE will sometimes have the announce table rigged to blow up and sometimes it won't. Like,
yeah, like it
and
takes a little more sometimes, or
no, it's probably not even that. There's probably just a little switch that they can like so it's like it's locked in place or it's not locked in place. And so when a move gets hit on it, it'll either collapse or it won't. I have a feeling that these are specially designed tables that they just have like a little flip that they once it's ready because we've seen it where a move will be hit on it and then another move will be hit on it and it explodes.
it is probably just a matter of bracing and whatnot, honestly, because
Could be that too.
being at live shows where they've gone through it, they reassemble that table in a matter of 30 seconds.
That's what I mean. I think it's all, like,
And
snapped together, and then they can just, like there's one where it can take the blow, and it's just, like, a switch that has, like, a lock in place where it's sturdy sort of thing. You know what I mean? But that's just
could
because I
be,
know how, like, my desk is put together. It's just these half turn things. So,
oh, potentially. Um, but yeah, so he hits the DDT. And then number six, Dolph Ziggler, comes out as they're still brawling. And we basically get Edge taking a chair to Orton and hits him over the back and then hits him in the knee.
Yeah, and then Orton's taken to the back, and the commentators make a point of noting that his knee pad is completely tore up, which I don't know how that happened. Like, it was, if you looked at it, the padding was completely pulled out and weird. I was like, when did that
Yeah, I
happen?
don't know when that happened.
Like,
And I expected them to do something like this, but I expected them to give Edge a reason to be out as well.
oh,
Um,
that's where I thought it was going to be too.
because I said it right away to Mitch and them that I was watching with. I was like, they're gonna take both of them out somehow for most of the match, and then Edge ended up lasting the whole match in the match, which surprised me, but we'll
And
get
he'd
to
have
that.
spots throughout the entire
Which,
match too.
yeah.
But before we get to number 7, Dolph Ziggler eliminates Jeff Hardy.
And I got a bit of a chuckle because Jeff goes out and then he stands up and throws himself over the barricade.
Did he?
If
I
you go
didn't
back
see
and
that.
watch, he goes out, they go, Jeff Hardy's eliminated, and then he stands up and chucks himself over the barricade on hard cam, and I'm like,
That's
Jeff.
great. Uh yeah, no, I was disappointed. I wanted to see Jeff last a bit longer, and it just kind of is that point of, well, WWE has signed him to that 3-year contract. Now they don't have to do anything with him.
Yep, that's what they keep doing. There's been wrestlers who have come off of contracts being like, I was promised this, this, and this, so I signed 3 to 5 years, and I got none of it.
And I think that's exactly what has just happened to Jeff. He's getting the money, but he's not getting the stories he was promised, because there is no way he signed on and was okay with being 3 minutes in the Rumble.
Jeff Hardy lasted 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like if it were me, as somebody who is looking into going through wrestling training and has wanted to be a wrestler for years and that, I would gladly take potentially like a fair bit less money to actually be used. And I don't need a main event spot, but
No,
Jeff Hardy does not deserve 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
well, I mean, you can even point out, like, I would take whatever spot I can get. What Varsity Blondes are now getting on Dynamite. They started on Dark, but they have worked their asses off to now get spots on Dynamite against the top guys.
And got awesome matches, which we talked about
Like,
previously.
yeah, I would much rather take, like, and I say this, if one of them offers me a deal, I would sign it. But I would, if I have the option of both companies sitting in front of me, I would likely take a Dynamite or an AEW contract over a WWE contract at this point, just because historically, and their history is a lot less, obviously, they have done better with new talent.
Oh yeah, 100%. But you got to
And
remember they're still growing. Their actual
exactly.
roster size is 10 times smaller than what WWE has,
and
which I
and I
think is a
am,
big
yeah.
issue with WWE is there is too many.
Well, Vince, he just went, well, I want this wrestler and this wrestler and
Yeah.
this wrestler
Well,
and
it's
this
it's
one.
very much so been this way since they bought WCW and they haven't
Yeah.
stopped. That's the
A-
issue. But
And now AEW is here, and it's like, hey, see, we're a friendly area of we got you're a wrestler here. You're not a independent contractor. You know, they're a family at AEW. It seems like, and I
yeah.
think that's something WWE used to have, and they don't anymore.
No, not one bit.
And they'll get it again once Triple H takes over. And I say that obviously thinking that's not going to be anytime soon. But,
Oh,
you know,
exactly. But yeah, going from number 6, Dolph Ziggler, to number 7, Shinsuke Nakamura from SmackDown, comes
yeah.
out. Um, and
Yeah. And
then
Carlito comes out. What
number
the?
8, which was, I mean, it was reported earlier that day on the
Yeah.
dirt sheet. Sadly, I wish I wouldn't have seen it. I would have liked to have been popped a
That's
little
kind of
bit
why I
by
was so quick
Carlito.
about it. But
Um, but it was nice. I mean,
it was.
you're
And I
talking, I
mean,
think 11
yeah.
years, 12 years.
And before I had even seen that dirt sheet list, he is one of the 3 people I guessed from my men's
Yeah.
list, to
Well,
be
the thing is,
honest.
he was supposed to be on Legends Night, but he didn't want to bother with the travel for a 30-second cameo. So after I heard that, I was like, I wonder. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in a sense in the MVP spot. He's apparently booked for Raw tonight. And
Oh yeah.
they wanna put him on as a producer, which sure.
Well, I would totally be all for that. I think he's a great wrestler. I think he could really be a good mic for somebody who doesn't have a voice right now. So, like, if they wanted to put him in MVP's sort of situation, I really think he could shine and be a promo piece, basically, for, say, oh, who would be a good one for him? Honestly, Otis. Could you
Yeah.
imagine that? Like, but anyway, I had to. That's just a point that I thought
Yeah.
of quickly there.
And with our other bits that we've still got to get through, we should probably run through this a bit
Yeah,
bit
we're
more.
for sure. Yeah, we're getting there though.
Number 9, Xavier Woods.
Yeah, and right after is Big E.
Big E at number 10.
Wait,
Which
I have Big E eliminating Xavier Woods.
well, you'd be wrong there because that was Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, why do I have Big E eliminating him?
I am
That
not
I'm
sure.
yeah, because then number 11 comes out, which is John
John
Morrison.
Morrison.
And Mustafa Ali eliminates Big E. What? Wait.
No, he does not.
Wait, what is going on with my list here? What just happened?
Omos eliminates Big E.
Right, Omos. What is going on here? Wait, how does Omos? AJ's not in yet.
That's what I'm trying to figure out because Big E is eliminated 19th. And we're not even at entrant number 12 yet.
Yeah, and I'm saying Big E eliminates Mustafa Ali.
You said Big E gets eliminated. That's what you had just said.
I don't. My brain's not here.
So, anyways, number 12, Ricochet.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. Ricochet. Just ignore me. Apparently, when number 11 John Morrison came out, my brain just went.
Yeah, it just kind of melted for a second.
But I'm back now. Number 12 is Ricochet.
Yep.
Followed by Elias at number 13, and Elias then eliminates Carlito.
Oh, poor Carlito. And then number 14, Damian Priest.
Yes.
Which
and he gets quite a few eliminations.
4.
Felt like more than that, but
4. He is tied with Big E.
Okay.
Those were the 2 most eliminations in the match.
I thought 4. There was not very many people with a lot of eliminations.
Yeah. But yeah, Damian Priest. And then number 15. I don't know if there's anybody in between there.
Oh, he eliminates Elias.
Okay.
Damian Priest does.
15 is The Miz.
And he immediately destroys Bad Bunny's DJ equipment. And wouldn't you know, Bad Bunny comes out.
Yeah, I believe Miz and Morrison both get eliminated by Damian Priest.
Yep, he just dumps them over, basically. And Bad Bunny jumps on top of Miz and Morrison.
Off the top rope to the outside. Yep.
Moving on, Riddle comes out at number 16.
Yeah. I was gonna say I got my notes there, but we'll get to that.
If you want to say that.
I'm annoyed. We talked about it before. We mentioned it with the golf cart spot, but that one was just such a shot at Snoop being on Dynamite. It's not funny. And you can argue me there all you want. Like the golf cart spot. They each had their own merits. This, I saw almost no difference. Although, I will give a small, tiny bit of credit to Bad Bunny. He sold the dive better than most indie guys would.
Yeah.
And that's not a shot at indie guys. That is literally a tweet that I read earlier. I don't even know who it was from. It was some independent wrestler. And I went back and watched after reading it. And he sure as hell sold it the whole way up the ramp.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yes, Riddle at 16.
Daniel Bryan at 17, and then my next pick or my next guess, Kane at 18, and we get a little bit later we get a Team Hell No reunion.
And
But
according to this, Kane is apparently smart part of the SmackDown roster.
interesting.
Fun.
Um,
Yeah.
Kane eliminates Dolph Ziggler and then eliminates Ricochet as well.
Yeah, I was surprised by Kane. I guess I shouldn't have been, but it was just one of those things where really wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Um
No, and that's just it. Like they do, like Daniel Bryan and Kane do their Team Hell No hug reunion thing, and then Damian Priest eliminates Kane, and like so Kane was literally in there to just kind of do that bit with
well,
uh
minute 51.
Bryan. Yeah, he was there to do the bit with Bryan and then leave.
And then number 19 we have King Corbin. Uh
Yeah, and then it goes to number 20, Otis, right after, and
Otis.
then King Corbin eliminates Otis.
Yeah, Otis lasted 53 seconds.
Yeah.
Um and then number 21, Dominic Mysterio. Um which
Dominic Mysterio eliminates King Corbin.
Yep. I wish he would have gotten more than 2 minutes in the match, but you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 22, Bobby Lashley comes out.
Yeah, and he comes in and he starts literally just he eliminates two people real quick. He goes Dominic Mysterio and then Damian Priest, which makes sense as to why I thought he had more eliminations, but he just got eliminated quicker than I
Yep.
thought he did.
Yeah. Well, Damian Priest lasted 15 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought he lasted a bit longer than that. Like I didn't realize
Oh
Lashley
yeah.
eliminated him second for when Lashley came out.
Yeah, and then 23, which was a fun little pop. Hurricane Helms.
Yeah. That was
Um,
really good.
comes in and who does he end up going for the choke slam on? I'm blanking
It
here.
is Big E and Bobby Lashley.
Right. He goes for the double choke slam, and
and
it's
Big E and Bobby Lashley toss him out of the ring.
yeah.
And then number 24.
Holy shit.
Okay, so this is one of my guesses, and I'm gonna say this. When I put this down, I was literally like, oh, who's one last person I could put down? Edge is in this. Christian.
Um,
Wouldn't you
I
know?
I jumped out of my seat. Christian, for those of you who aren't aware, was similar to Edge, medically disqualified many years ago from competing due to which is different from Edge. He was due to history of concussion, similar to what took Daniel Bryan out.
And even Corey Graves, who's now
And
just
Corey
doing
Graves.
commentary.
Yeah. So to see him come back out, and which I've read now over the past, just over 12 hours and whatnot since the event. Apparently he was at the arena all day. People knew he was there, which isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
Because as we said before, I'm pretty sure he is producing, and even if he's
I
not,
think so.
Christian just kind of being there really doesn't. He's one of those
No.
guys where it's not a surprise.
Well,
Also,
no,
because I believe he
yeah.
lives in Florida.
So him
So
showing up for a taping wouldn't be out of the norm, probably,
yeah,
especially during this pandemic. He's probably there to kind of help out with some training. Because I mean, even during the Last Man Standing match, they showed the ring where we have like the interviews and stuff like that, and they called it a training ring, which makes a lot of sense. That way, it's completely hidden from any public eye.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, that ring back there is a training ring. The ring they do the interviews in is actually in the back.
oh, really?
Because it's
It
got
just
the
looked like
LED boards.
I just assumed they put up some lights when they wanted to record for it.
Yeah, no, that from my knowledge is a straight up. They've got 2 or 3
Okay.
rings, I think, littered across the field. Because they're not allowing those off the main roster to go to the performance center.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
they're keeping NXT and the performance center in their own bubble from reports I've read.
Well, obviously, except for the few crossovers that have happened.
Well, the handful, but But yeah, so
But yeah,
Christian was really a really awesome surprise to see, which I honestly, as I said to you before the podcast, I don't think Edge even knew he was going to be in it, because Edge is laying there selling, the music hits, and Edge just kind of like looks over like, are we real right now? And the look on his
yeah.
face, just, if he did know, it was obviously just he's very, very happy for his best friend.
I just
Um,
forgot, didn't know when the spot was coming, just, like, was told, "Oh, Christian will be out there at some point with
yeah,
you," you know?
or it
Like,
was it
yeah.
was a surprise, which the thing is, if that's what they did, that's cool to me.
Oh,
Uh,
exactly.
but
And
yeah,
I mean, right as Christian's before he even gets in the ring, they Brian and Riddle and Biggie all have Lashley kind of on the edge, and Christian pulls the ropes out from under Lashley and tumbles him over. And so four people eliminate Bobby Lashley: Riddle,
Burr.
Biggie, Christian, and Daniel Bryan. And
Um,
then we get our Edge and Christian reunion. They hug and
they do a few moves together, which was really cool, and um, yeah, I don't know if there was any more notes before number 25.
nope, nothing before
Uh,
25.
AJ Styles.
Yeah. And then honestly, right after 25 with 26, we got Rey Mysterio. And then we started getting this really weird stuff with Omos. He just started eliminating people when they'd be over the ring, or if Styles, was gonna get thrown out, he'd grab him. So Omos eliminates Big E. And then we get number 27 with Sheamus. And then we get Omos eliminating Rey Mysterio.
Yeah,
Like, it was really weird. And I think he does another one later on. No, maybe it's just those two.
I only see
But
the two.
but it was just so weird because normally we get one of those in a rumble, but he
Generally,
pulled it.
there's something odd, but yeah,
He did it to two people, and one of them being Big E kind of bothered me because I'd
yes,
been looking at Big E as on the up and coming. For Ray's, it would have made sense because Ray's a little guy. Omos was just picking on a little guy. Sure. Big E's, it kind of bothered me a little bit,
yeah.
but
And I want to go back here really, really quick.
for sure.
Talking about we mentioned Ray, Dominic Mysterio, when he got eliminated by Bobby Lashley. Lashley tossed Dominic. Holy hell! They made a
Oh yeah,
joke where Dominic was similar to SpaceX at that point. He
yeah.
flew. But anyways, to go back here. You said 27 was Sheamus. 28
Yeah.
being Cesaro. Um,
And then number 29, the biggest surprise I'd say in besides Christian in the men's rumble,
oh yeah,
um, was Seth
which
Rollins.
and I had mentioned when we were doing our predictions, I honestly believed he was coming back with the Messiah gimmick. I just didn't know how they'd do it, which seeing he did. Um, and yeah, like it was nice. It was nice to see Rollins back
Yeah.
for
And as
sure.
we said, definitely the reason why Becky was backstage. Her and I don't
100%.
do you know the name of the child?
Uh 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 Rue, Roux.
Okay,
I want to
so
say
her and their little girl were probably backstage.
Seth Rollins. Children one. Thanks. Uh, they welcomed their first daughter named. Yeah, I don't know if it's pronounced it. It's Roux. So
I would think it's Rue. I
Rue.
think it's Rue.
Which if
Um,
I am wrong, I sincerely apologize to both Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins.
yeah, please don't come for us. We mean no harm.
Yeah,
We're just
I wish
trying
you
to
guys all the
support
best as
you.
parents, by the way.
We're actually
Congratulations.
trying to give you a shout out and explain that you guys were probably being very good parents and having like a good family moment at the backstage after Rollins did eventually not obviously win because he's not going to this rumble. He's coming back. He's going to be put in a different story.
Oh,
We're going to
exactly.
get that out of the way right quickly. Rollins does not win.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then is there anything between 29 and 30?
Nope.
So number 30, Braun Strowman, which I'm actually sitting there going, I wonder who number 30 is, and his music hits, and I go, oh right, I totally forgot Strowman was a thing.
Yeah, I forgot he got announced, and I was like, "Oh, right, yeah."
Yeah. So Braun Strowman comes out, and then
He eliminates Cesaro, Sheamus, and Styles. Not all at the same time, but just
yeah,
that's who he eliminates.
yep.
And I feel like one of the ones he throws them over the top and they like land on their face or something.
I feel like somebody did, but
But yeah. And then Seth Rollins, he eliminates Daniel Bryan and Riddle. Obviously, again, not at the same point in time, but just those were his eliminations. And then Edge and Seth Rollins together kind of eliminate Christian and Braun Strowman.
yeah. So at this point, Strowman goes to throw Edge out. Edge grabs on, and Edge is on the outside, teetering, pulling Strowman. Christian comes up from behind and is starting to get Strowman up and over, which is when Rollins comes up and just kind of flips Christian, sending Strowman and Christian to the floor. And in
Yeah,
theory, at this point, we've only got two left, Edge
right.
and Rollins. Rollins then goes to hit the curb stomp on Edge. Edge tosses him over, and the announcers start to go off with Edge did it, which Edge turns around and here's Orton. Orton RKO's him, um, picks him up, goes to toss him out, and Edge tosses Orton over the top rope to secure his victory. 11 years to the day from his first one. And yeah, Edge wins the men's Royal Rumble. Um, Interesting side note that I want to get out of the way here. They mentioned he was the third wrestler to win from the number one spot, which means they are still counting Chris Benoit's Royal Rumble win.
But they just won't say it by name,
Exactly. Because when they said
which
it,
is
I'm
fair.
sitting there and I'm like, well, the only other two to do it from number one, technically, because number one and number two are the same, as we've said in the past. But he entered number one. There is a difference, even though it's the same. Um, the only other two are Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit. So for them to say not like the third, I was like, holy shit. So they're still going to reference that Chris Benoit in theory, you know.
And maybe they'll just say, the Wolverine won this
I
Rumble
don't even
sort of
think
thing.
they'll mention something like that. I think that's
But
the
you know what I
closest we're
mean?
gonna get.
Yeah, exactly.
Cuz we'll
But I was just
never hear
thinking,
his name.
no, exactly. And that's what I was meaning. Like, if we're gonna hear something, he was known as the Rabid Wolverine in
Yeah.
WWE. So I could see them just going like, oh well, the Wolverine won this Rumble, if they wanted to say who won the Rumble, but they by no means have
Yeah, exactly. But
to.
that was the results. And before we move on, I've said it to you and that, and friends here last night will sincerely vouch for it. I'd said it on the previous podcast. Like being such a huge Edge fan for my whole life, and that. Last night was really awesome. And when Edge ended up tossing Orton out, I had a wave of emotion hit me, which I'm sure has to do with a lot of other stuff going on in my personal life,
For sure.
but I think it was just what I needed. There was a wave of emotion. I had a good little cry sitting there, really happy. Like not a bad cry, a good cry. Not afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
With Edge winning. And I know there was a lot of people that weren't too pleased with it being a part-timer, his comeback kind of giving it to him, but you know what, the story, we talked about it prior to the podcast. Take whoever your favorite wrestler of all time is, whoever your number one, not right now unless right now is your number one, take them and put them in Edge's shoes. Send them through Edge's whole story of being told you're never going to wrestle again. It's their childhood dream, all this stuff. The comeback, the injury again, to last night. And I guarantee you will have a similar reaction
Oh yeah.
to myself. Maybe not as many tears, because hopefully you're not as in a similar mental state as I am most of the time.
Yeah,
But
but it's absolutely a fair point. Like that match, like it had the perfect storytelling from start to finish. I mean, obviously we had number 1 and 2 finish the Rumble, but Orton by no means survived the 58 minutes or
50,
whatever that
58 minutes and 28 seconds. Although that is his time that they gave him. Even though he was not in there the full time. Edge was in there a full 58 minutes and 28 seconds.
yes.
Um,
That is my point there. Like Orton did last from 2 to 30, but
but he
he
missed 40 minutes of the match.
yeah. And that's not a knock on Orton. He is
No, the
definitely a more active superstar who is going for a totally different story, and
100%.
it just made no sense for him to have to sit through that entire hour's match. It just didn't.
Exactly.
So
Um,
they moved on, and that was exactly it.
but yeah, we're gonna move on here as well to a new segment here in just a second. But before we do, make sure if you're enjoying this, once again, you can give us a follow on our Twitch to know when we go live for these podcasts, or if you watch them afterwards, you can find us on most major podcast platforms, including Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and many more. Um, as well as following our Twitter to get notified whenever we go live. Um,
Absolutely.
as well as voting in polls after shows and all that, because we do all that stuff.
Yeah, and you guys can keep us up to date as well for any news that we might miss on our Twitters as well. So
Yes,
be very helpful.
that is more than helpful as of late. Um, but to our segment specifically for pay-per-views, the Malteser match rating scale. Um, very obviously, if you are a person who follows dirt sheets and everything, you should very well know what we're doing here. The play on words. All
Yeah.
respect to Dave Meltzer. But we are giving the matches a rating out of 5.
Yeah.
Potentially 7 or more. If we
Yeah, I
really
mean
think a match deserves it.
we can run the Dave Meltzer scale, which is it's 5, but I mean if the match is better than that, I think the highest is a 7.
7. 7.
Yeah. So,
But
exactly. If it deserves it, it deserves it.
this is the Malteser match rating scale. Thank you, Blake, for that name. We were going to be in person initially for this and
Yes, we
actually
tried
have
our best.
bags of Maltesers with us for
Yeah.
this. And if for some reason you're in a place where you don't have Maltesers, they're a really good candy. Look them up.
I think they are actually an only Canadian,
Are they?
they might be, I could be wrong, um, but I from what I've heard, they're not in the States from what I've heard, but I
Oh
could be
damn,
wrong.
unlucky people.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll run through match by match here. Pre-show tag match.
I did not catch this match, unfortunately. I
Oh really?
apologize. I
Uh,
I totally forgot to watch the pre-show.
I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It like decent match, but nothing that deserved in theory, as we say, more than 50%. It
Right. I
it
saw the result of the match and I assumed I knew how it went. So I was
yeah.
like, I don't really think I need to watch it, but I also forgot we would be giving it our Malteser scale. But the rest of them I did rate.
So with that being said, WWE championship match, Drew McIntyre and Goldberg. What'd you give?
I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 here. I mean, I thought it was going to be Goldberg just demolishing Drew, and it wasn't. It was a very honestly, it was an even match, if you wanted to call it that. And it just made it a lot better than I thought it was, so I'm gonna give it a passing grade.
That's fair. I gave it a 2. I enjoyed the brawl to start it. Didn't enjoy that the bell didn't ring. And then we kind of got a finisher fest, which made me roll my eyes. And then I liked the like you passed the test at the end. So I didn't
Yeah.
want to give it lower, but I don't know, as I've said many times already, so I won't like go off on a tangent here. Just kind of tired of the finisher fest whenever we see Goldberg. It's all it is.
It really is, and, we mentioned I don't know if we were mentioning it on the podcast, but, Dolph Ziggler versus, Goldberg, if he were to just do something like that, I
Yeah.
don't see an issue, like
Yeah, we were actually mentioning that when we were talking about the review when we were going over the results for that match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Um. Okay. Carmella versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
uh where's my marker there? I gave it a 2.75 out of 5.
That's fair. I gave it a 2.5. I gave it a pass. I figured it sat about as good as the tag one. Like decent match, solid match. But there just wasn't anything there to
For sure.
pull me to give it more.
In the same probably in the same line that you are, I had to give it a higher ranking than Drew and Goldberg just based on the fact that it was an actual match.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, exactly.
like
Yeah.
they went and like Carmella, like we said, Carmella and Sasha had a fantastic match. Like they did what they needed to do there.
Yep, 100%.
So
Um Women's Rumble.
I gave it a 3.5.
I gave it only a 3, so yeah.
I mean, it was a good match. I did not like the finish. I would have been inclined to give it a 4 if the winner was just Rhea instead.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. Just due to the fact that there wasn't anything like I liked some of the callbacks, some of the spots. But then there were some that I just kind of I rolled my eyes at. A lot of like a 24/7 title match bit in it. I'm like, why? Why do we have to do that in the women's match? Take away from them like
For sure.
um the whole Naomi and Bianca Belair bit on the outside and them having to elevate each other. I like there was just points that I was like, what was the point of it?
Hmm.
Um but it was still a very decent match at the end of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Um Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, last man standing for the WWE Universal Championship. What you got?
I gave it a 4. It
Gave
was a
it
really good match.
gave it a 4, eh?
Yeah, it was a really good match. And I mean, I say that being a really big critic of Roman Reigns. I'm not a fan of his, but he showed me in this match that it's really WWE that is not wanting him to sell. And this is the first time they allowed him to. And I think they literally just went out there and said, Roman has to win. You guys go have a last man standing match.
Well, I gave it a
Like,
4.25.
well, there you
I
go.
was I was overly impressed with it. My only issue was the finish.
Yeah, honestly, if honestly
Take the
you
fin and
take
like
that.
I'm not even saying Reigns winning because Reigns
No.
in honesty is the one that should have gone over. I'm
Yeah.
talking the whole mishap with the counting and the handcuffs and it just
Yes.
made it look really sloppy at the end of what was like a brilliant match.
Yeah. I'd probably, if that finish didn't have the sloppiness towards the end, I'd probably give it a 4.5.
It
But
would have gotten a 4.5 from me. Yep.
yeah. But I couldn't because of that sloppiness towards the finish. It just didn't quite, and I obviously knocked off more than you did for that just because I think it really just stalled the flow of the match.
No, that's fair. It took too long to get to where it needed to be and it just kind of it took all that adrenaline down. So, I totally get
Exactly.
that. And then finally the men's rumble match.
This is my 4.5 match. Like this, I would give it a 5, but like I said, there are some bits that I didn't like about it, so I'm not gonna give it a perfect match, but it was exactly what you think it should be.
4.75. It was not a perfect match. Um but by all means the best match on the card.
Hmm.
Um in looking at the overall perspective of it, take out some of the flaws of it, including like them getting Bad Bunny involved and
Yeah.
just some of that crap, and it probably would have gotten a 5 from me.
Oh,
um
absolutely. Yeah. You entirely removed the issues with Bad Bunny, and what was the other one I had a big issue with? Oh, honestly, Orton being sent to the side and not like going through the whole match. As much as like it made sense, I would have preferred to see
Oh,
him actually go through the whole match.
oh yes, exactly. But yeah, it's 4.75 is what I'm giving that. I thought it was really good myself.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so with us running through that Malteser match rating schedule or star rating, not sponsored by the way.
No,
Um,
but
we
please do if you want to.
Yeah. We will move on to our overall show rating out of 5. My man, what did you give the Royal Rumble as a whole?
It's a 5 out of 5. It was a perfect show.
Really? Holy
Yeah,
crap.
that's the first perfect show of our, for me, in my opinion. Like it was, as much as I didn't like the finishes of some of them, you couldn't have asked for a better Royal Rumble with what was being given to us by the pandemic and everything.
Oh, 100%. Um so I gave it a 4.75. I wanted so badly to give it a perfect, but I couldn't. I couldn't. If I'm being completely honest, and this is just me, being me, honestly, right down to the core. If we would have had Drew versus somebody else, actually gotten a solid match out of it, and we wouldn't have had just this super random musical performance, um, like I think it would have been enough to give it perfect. But I feel like it was just a waste of time with the musical performance.
For
And
sure.
then putting it in a spot in the Rumble just annoyed me. And then having one of the world titles being in the situation it was. I
For sure. I
I
was able to
couldn't.
look past that though. So
I couldn't. I I want to be able to, but
yeah.
there is absolutely zero reason, and I will fight it to my last breath. There was absolutely no reason to keep putting Goldberg in the world title. We have stars left, right, and center. We could have had an actual match. We did not
Hmm.
need the finisher fest we got. We could have
Yeah.
actually had Drew put on. I said it a while back. We got Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre for free on Raw.
Yeah.
And this was the Royal Rumble World Title match. Come
Yeah,
on.
exactly. No, it's totally fair. I just think that
Also, before you go, sorry to interrupt. No Keith Lee in the Rumble.
yeah, that was annoying.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Like
continue.
um like I get where you're coming from, but from a booking standpoint, like the WWE, they needed to recoup some money here, and unfortunately, Goldberg is a name that they couldn't buy pay-per-views off of. Keith Lee isn't so much right yet.
When you've got the thing is to put him on other shows, sure, but for something like the Rumble or WrestleMania, those cards you don't and don't take
Exactly.
this the wrong way, but you don't need to put those names on because those are the
No, for
shows that
sure.
are gonna get the buy rates almost anyways.
No, and that's just it. Like
So
it's just you, it's that double-edged sword as from a booking standpoint. Like you want your best possible money production, and at the same time you want a good story. And unfortunately, they didn't balance it too well this time.
also screw them with the whole money bit. They just did $1 billion deal with NBC. They can kiss my
That's
ass
true.
on needing to recoup money.
That is very true. But like you know what I mean. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
I get
it's
what you
all
mean.
business, right? Like it's just
It's shitty
unfortunate.
business, but
It is.
anyways. So moving on from our ratings, match of the night.
I gave it to the last man standing match because I was so shocked by how it went.
100% agree. On that one, like there's absolutely no reason why it doesn't deserve match of the night. Um,
I mean, yeah, like it for me, it was one of the like I've said, Roman finally was able to sell,
yeah,
and it just made him look human, and I think we're gonna hopefully get some story on that in SmackDown. I hope he doesn't just return to doing exactly what he's doing on SmackDown.
Yeah,
It'll be
that is
interesting to
fair.
see for sure. I want to see this be not a character shift for Roman, but a evolution of his character,
Yep,
giving it that human aspect that he didn't have Jey Uso. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why he
potentially.
didn't look so good. He didn't have his so Paul is his special counsel.
Yep.
Um Jay is what? Like his brother, his cousin,
Yeah,
like
his lackey basically.
yeah.
Um, I gave my match of the night though to the men's rumble. Due to our match of the nights just being really what we felt, and due to the fact of Edge winning, and just the emotion it invoked in me, I can't give it to anything else.
No,
Um,
and that is totally fair. Absolutely.
and before we move on, before I forget, we have our Twitter poll. We have our Twitter
Yes.
poll. So we put up polls after shows on our Twitter at Walking the Ropes. And
This one
the
got a lot of votes, I think.
yes, the poll for the Royal Rumble. There was 53.6% of the vote that thought it was a great show. 17.9% did not enjoy it, and there's 28.6% that are sitting on the fence as to whether or not they enjoyed the show. Um,
Interesting that people disliked it. I would really like to hear from them and just like know why you
I w-
didn't like the whole show on as a whole.
yeah, I would really like to know what stood out so much that made you not enjoy it.
Because even we're saying like we're not fans of Bel Air, and we're giving the show a near perfect. I'm giving it a perfect rating. You're giving it a near perfect rating, and one of the main matches is not at all what we wanted to happen.
Exactly. Um,
Like
so yeah, but anyways, segment of the night.
Tony Storm's appearance in the Royal Rumble, she had a pretty good showing. She did really well, and I just love seeing her in the ring.
That's completely fair. Um, so I gave it because I couldn't give it my match of the night, like I said, just due to the meaning of the Rumble match. I
For
gave
sure.
Reigns and Owens my segment of the night. Um, because it's the closest I could give it to match of the night. But to kind of double up on it, pinpoint a specific moment almost. Um, Goldberg telling Drew McIntyre he passed the test. I've shit on the match a lot. I've shit on the concept of Goldberg being there a lot, but there was one honest moment that I sat there and I went, you know what? This worked. Was Goldberg telling him he passed the test.
Mhm.
Which I mean, I still don't think Goldberg is really the measuring stick anymore, in my
I
opinion.
If
But
anything,
it
it
was
should be Cena, but
it was a nice moment, so I'll give it that.
yeah.
I'll be nice enough
It'll
there.
be nice, just before we move on to the
Yep,
performer of the night, it'll be nice when Cena comes back to do bits like this where he might even challenge the world champion, but I doubt Cena will ever hold that world championship again.
I don't think he will.
As much as it makes sense for him to break the record for
Yep.
Rick, I do not think he will ever do it again because John knows the fans and he knows that that is not a good booking decision.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I agree.
so, as much as that's something we'd like, I personally would love to see him
Oh,
break the
I
record,
if
but
somebody's gonna break it, it deserves to be Cena. I will admit that right here, right now.
he's one of those people that, like, as a wrestling fan from that era, he's on a Mount Rushmore. Like, obviously, my Mount Rushmore is still like Hulk Hogan, Triple H, and people like that from way back when. But Cena is definitely on people's Mount Rushmore for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
100%. But speaking of amazing performers in that, performer of the night, what'd you give?
Edge, I can't give it to any other person other than I don't want to guess his age, but somewhere in his 40s, going near damn an hour straight of hard cardio work. if anybody's ever been in a
47.
ring, he's 47. So anybody, if you've never been in a ring, if you've just ever hit the ropes once or twice, you know it isn't an easy thing to do. It takes a lot out of you. And what he did by no means was an easy match. He started out by doing a hardcore match and finished by winning a damn Royal Rumble. Like
Yeah, and
you can't give it to anybody else.
nope,
Like
my performer of the night is Edge, 110%.
yeah, like
I'm sorry to literally everybody else on that card.
yeah,
Nobody else deserves it besides
no.
Edge. And that's
And
not a
that's not
knock
saying
on the 40 other people on the card, but you are talking the most amazing comeback story of all time at this point, and just 58 minutes after being told for 9 years you can't do this.
yeah.
58 minutes straight.
Yeah, and that's not even including his, WrestleMania brawl with
Oh
Orton
my god.
in the Performance Center. Like there were
The
so
greatest wrestling
many.
match ever, which was a fantastic wrestling match.
Yeah, like it's just Edge is one of those guys that we never thought we would see in the wrestling ring again, and we're seeing it. And my God, he's going for the world title again, and he might just do it and
He's
then retire the way he should with the world title, but on his terms.
Yeah, he's as they said, and I've been saying it, he's going for what he never lost. He's gonna get back what he never lost, because he never lost the world title.
I would love it if WWE, like he comes out for Raw tomorrow or tonight with Big Gold and says, "Until I win that belt, this is my championship because I never lost it." I
Fair
would love
point.
it. I would absolutely love it because I just want to see Big Gold on TV again. I'll say that very much so, like,
That's completely fair.
because it's the only
Uh,
belt that I can think of that competes with Pretty Platinum. So.
that's fair.
And if
Um,
you guys don't know the names of those belts, Big Gold is the Ric Flair Gold Championship World Heavyweight title belt that everybody knows from WWE, and
and
Pretty Platinum
WCW.
and WCW, and Pretty Platinum is AEW's World Heavyweight Championship. And it is probably, my opinion, the most pretty title in all of sports
Oh, it's
entertainment.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking of things that aren't quite so beautiful, worst of the night.
You might want to
Um,
hit the buzzer for me here quick, because I'm gonna get in trouble here.
Oh, geez. Here we go. Headphone warning, real quick, to those of you listening to the audio podcast here. Uh, there goes the siren. Nuclear heat.
I
Here we go.
apologize.
Here we
um
go.
So my worst of the night here is Bianca Belair winning. To me, there was not enough build to this win. Her trajectory was not to be the winner of this Royal Rumble. I don't see her winning the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. I just think it was a waste of a win.
Okay. Wow.
I apologize to Belair because I don't think of you as a bad person. Your gimmick is just horrible.
Oh, jeez.
And I apologize.
Well, I gave my worst of the night to the waste of time of the musical performance, and then Bad Bunny getting involved in the Rumble. Pointless. Pointless,
Yeah, for
a
sure.
waste. Yeah.
No, that's
I
very
don't think
fair.
I need the nuclear heat warning for mine.
No, exactly. I knew when I put that down that I was gonna get some heat for that, but I don't get it. I don't get her gimmick at all. And I
Well,
like I said, I apologize because it is not the person. She's definitely a fantastic human being, and I wish her as a human all the best. But change your damn gimmick
or give us something more to work off of.
or cut your hair. Or I guess take out the extensions. Oops.
Well, moving on from that. Final predictions going forward. Basically into tonight's Raw. Um you got anything that you can think of, anything noteworthy? You already gave your possibility with Edge there with Big Gold. Anything else you
Well,
got?
I'm going to kind of stick with that, but Edge comes out, opens Raw. We get his huge, like the old school pyro shot where it's the single ones as he does his arms up, you know. Um, and then he comes in and he announces that he is challenging Drew for the WWE Championship at the WrestleMania. I think he
Okay.
announces it right away. No pomp and circumstance, no ifs, ands, or buts. He comes out, he gets right to the point. Drew, get out here. You're my champion. You're my challenge. I'm challenging you, you know?
Okay. Okay. Um hmm. See,
And I don't even really think that's a bold prediction. I think that's just exactly what's gonna happen.
I don't know who he's gonna go after, because the thing is like he wants back what he never lost, which would be facing Drew.
Mhm. It would
But
have to be because that would be the only belts considered in his title history.
the thing is we could potentially go the other route, where it's just the idea of a world championship, and he possibly challenges Reigns.
I don't want to see him challenge Reigns because he won't beat Reigns. WWE won't let him beat Reigns.
Here's my thing though, I'd rather him challenge Reigns, because if he doesn't, then we get Reigns and Goldberg.
Okay,
You
well,
know that's what we're
no,
getting.
no, we don't. I think WWE won't do that again. I think this year Reigns' story is going. Don't look at me like that.
You're gonna give them that much credit? You're gonna say they're not gonna do Reigns and Goldberg?
We just had Drew and Goldberg for the world title. What validated?
Exactly.
There's no point at all in WWE giving him the Universal shot. Like there
There
is
was no
zero.
point in them giving him the shot at Drew.
My point exactly. Why would they give it to him now?
Because they didn't get the match last year.
But I don't think that's enough of a reason. Like I think they're smarter than that, and they know
Oh,
that
I know. I
that
don't think they're smarter than that.
that's gonna cost them ticket sales though. Like
Well,
honestly, it will. And I'm saying ticket sales because they're gonna have like a 50% capacity arena. Like
I if we don't get Edge challenging Reigns, a bold prediction going forward, not just for Raw, obviously, we're getting Goldberg and Reigns at Mania. Um, if Edge doesn't challenge him, as for tonight,
I
I
would sooner see Cena take the title from Reigns if we had to see a part timer take it. Like
um, I'm honestly thinking the Fiend returns tonight. I think I don't know how, I don't know why, but I
it'll do
think
so Bliss will be somehow crying and she'll be so unconsolable that the Fiend isn't able to communicate with her, like that person on the swing, the Fiend, who is definitely who she's been talking to.
well, that's the
Uh
the essence basically that she's
yeah.
speaking to.
That essence isn't able to communicate with her, and the actual Fiend has to reappear to console Bliss for what happened. So, like you said, we didn't see Bliss afterwards. So I think she disappeared and she vanished. I don't
She
know if you heard
thinks
that. I
she
snapped.
yeah, she thinks she disappointed the Fiend or something,
Yeah,
or
so she completely hid herself away. She's like, no, this is the Fiend. Like he's yeah. So I think that's a very good point. The and that'll probably go to an intergender tag match somehow at Mania for them, which is unfortunate storyline wise for them. But
yeah,
um it probably will do that and maybe lead to something after Mania for them, which is fine.
yeah. I definitely don't want to see them break up that duo, because
No.
it's a great thing for Bliss. It's working.
Oh, it
Um,
is. And I never thought that she would be the sister Abigail that we needed.
yeah,
And
exactly.
like I honestly thought it was going to be Nikki Cross or Liv Morgan,
Yeah, it was gonna be something like that, but
but no. And
and
if
then
Nikki pulled the whole Rosemary gimmick off, that would have been crazy. Like,
oh,
but anyway.
exactly. And the only other thing, obviously, I expect to see Christian in some way tonight. I would love to see a match. If his clearance was 100% full
Hell,
and good to
I don't.
go.
He doesn't even need to be a match. I just want to see the Peep Show. If we're just doing their TV shows again, just do the Peep Show.
Can we open with the Peep Show, or what were they calling it when it was him and Edge doing it together, because they did it 2 or 3 times after they both retired. The
The
cutting
Edge and
edge.
Christian show that totally
No,
reeks of
that
awesomeness.
was on the network.
Oh,
The talk show that they were doing in the ring, because they did it with like Rollins and that. I think they honestly called it the Cutting Edge Peep Show or something.
maybe something like a
Um,
combination of their two.
yeah, but I would not be upset if Raw opens with the Peep Show and Christian has Edge come out and they announce whatever going forward for that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We're going for the tag team titles before Mania.
Oh, before Mania. I thought you were saying use Edge's Rumble win to challenge for the tag titles against.
Yeah, they're gonna challenge the Young Bucks. Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers against Edge and Christian at WrestleMania. That is my bold prediction. Triple H said they're open for business.
I think they're that open for business.
Oh,
Who's the
jeez.
Raw and SmackDown tag champions right now?
Hurt Business.
Oh shit, right. And SmackDown's
Ziggler and
Rude
Rude.
and Ziggler. Rudolph or
Rudolph.
they had have you not heard that?
No.
That's the nickname Simon Miller calls them on What Culture's Ups
Oh
and
my
Downs. He goes,
God.
and Rudolph come out to the ring.
Oh jeez.
I really enjoy the ups and downs from What Culture, so
That's fair.
you'll hear me reference that sometimes.
Well, that was a fantastic Royal Rumble review and recap and whatnot.
Yeah. It was a great show.
Anything else you'd like to say here, Blake? Any last things?
I've just really enjoyed doing this has been a month of us doing this podcast. It doesn't feel like it, and I just want to do more. We've been getting more viewers every time, and it's so cool. I love people, like we've had commenters, we've had people tweeting us, like please, if you guys are enjoying us, just let us know in some way, even if it's a like on our tweet, a like on our YouTube video, or following us on Twitch. Like, we love to just see some kind of interaction with us. Like, it's just so cool. Blows our minds that people want to listen to us.
It's honestly it's really fun. Like we promote the Buy Me a Coffee and Redbubble, obviously, for a monetary purpose, but we never expect anything like that. We honestly, as honest as could be, Blake just saying the likes and the follows, or a basic tweet or something like that, like a comment on a YouTube video, those things honestly is what actually lets us know that we're doing something right.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. Any and all support. I mean, we're just two friends, two wrestling fans, that are taking an
Who literally
opportunity.
quizzed each other to be friends, basically.
Literally.
Like,
Which, I mean, we'll probably tell that story one day.
definitely.
Because we hope to do more outside of just reviews. We wanna do some throwback episodes and watch some old stuff and just
Yeah.
stories and whatnot. Hell, we'll just do a story time podcast, because we've got a handful of stories, each of us.
Yeah, and I mean, we've even got some potential big things coming up in the near future with
Yepper.
the podcast. Not gonna drop anything else other than really that, unless you have something you'd want to say about that. But
No, just something that that might help us going forward.
for sure.
But we've appreciated all the support so far, honestly.
Absolutely. And I mean, like we were saying, we always have new ideas. Like, he and I are always talking, always communicating about what to do on the podcast. Like, we've got new ideas. Like, this Maltesers thing we did for the first time has been an idea we've had since the start of this podcast.
Yep.
Like,
and we were just
things,
waiting
we've
for
had
the
that ready.
the perfect moment, which
Like,
just so happens to be the Rumble.
yeah, like we started this right at the start of 2021. And we've had so many ideas just rolling off of our heads, and they've been some solid ones. Like, um, in my opinion, like we've gotten so many different cool things that I think will be coming in the next few months, even
Oh
probably the
yeah.
next year. Like,
Oh yeah, like
we are,
what you're seeing now, us doing the reviews and that like this is not it. This is not what we're going to be doing solely for the next, however long, the foreseeable future. There is
yeah,
so many other ideas outside of even just stuff being posted in a podcast format. We
right,
have stuff that like obviously we live stream this, and the VODs go up on YouTube, but we also post the audio to podcast sites. We have ideas for actual video series and stuff we want to do, um, and it's all just a matter of time and us getting around to it, which will happen as we continue this, as we're now actually getting into a pretty solid, decent schedule and getting used to it.
well, yeah, we've run
Um,
an entire week now of our week, like our shows through the week now, which
yeah.
is a lot
Mhm.
better. I think, in my opinion, we've been flowing a lot better. We don't have 5 hours of
Oh
just
yeah.
one show. Like,
Jeez. Um,
um but everybody who did listen to our longer versions of these podcasts and
like
watched them.
like this
Yeah,
one.
I mean,
Which
but
I
this
mean, it's
one
the
I
Rumble.
feel, I was gonna say, I feel like this one's been full of content and stuff
It's
for
gonna be
everybody
like the
to.
WrestleMania one. The WrestleMania one's gonna be five
Yeah,
hours.
exactly. And for sometimes there's nothing we can do about that. But like, um, we are really trying to make these as enjoyable as we can for anybody who wants to listen to us. Uh, and we just, yeah, like we've said, we absolutely love and support, or love, and I guess, yeah, support you guys in supporting us. Like, you guys want to support us, we're gonna do what we can to make sure we keep this show going, because we want to do this. This is something he and I have off and on talked about probably over the last 2-3 years that we've known
Oh,
each other.
easily.
Like,
Um,
so
so
definitely
yes.
something we wanted to do for a long time.
So just an honest thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know, like, right now you might be thinking, oh well, you're only thanking 1, 2, 3 guys. Sure, but that's more than I thought would be listening to us after the first month.
Oh,
Like,
exactly.
I didn't think we would be getting anywhere, and not to say that this is anywhere, but it's better than I thought, and I'm just so excited for the future of this podcast.
Yep, the future looks bright. So,
Absolutely.
with that being said, thank you everybody for listening to this Royal Rumble recap and review. Once again, just to run through the stuff. If you want to watch this live, we are live multiple times a week on Twitch. So you can follow us and get notifications there, as well as following us on Twitter, voting in the polls, commenting, letting us know what you enjoyed from shows, as well as we post when we are going live on there. So if you follow us on there, that is another great way to keep up to date with everything going on with us. All of our links are in our link tree if you listen to the audio format of this podcast. And yeah, once again, just an honest thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here for the first month. There are many more months to come for this.
Many, many more. So with that being said, we will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow for the Raw
Yeah,
review. Uh,
tomorrow for our Raw show, we're going to be reviewing anything that goes on tonight. It's a 3-hour show of
oh
Raw.
God,
Could do anything.
who knows? So until
So
then,
yeah, thank you so much for listening, everyone.
yes, take care.